They always do like a 5 minute delay on YouTube, but let me go ahead and go live over here on YouTube as well too. So our people, hopefully they start coming in, they can see that as well too.
Hey, Newstoter.
What's
I was
up?
just gonna say, man, just to be off topic just a little bit before you get everything started. I guess tomorrow is the big day, huh? In New York.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's a big day for Trump and what's his name? Bragg is getting all kind of hate mail as well too. So he's getting a lot of racist hate mail against him as well too. So they're gonna definitely have to up his security because you got a lot of yahoos out there that if they can get their hands on him, he's got to be very careful at this point in time. So definitely up that
Oh yeah,
security.
oh yeah. The Black American man, they going in on him, man. They showing a lot of hate for that brother. I heard it right here in one of the stores at Walmart here, right in my local area. Oh, they were talking about it.
Because I just want to ask you, I guess if they said about Trump and Tupac.
What'd you say about that, Ray?
You saw that? Yeah.
Yeah, it was the Daily. I think it was the Daily Loud. I believe they're undercover white supremacist media because I said, what kind of racism shit is this? Because they had Tupac and Biggie comparing Trump to Tupac and Biggie. Of all the people you could have picked, you picked two black, and they've done that. That media outlet I've had to go out there. I believe, because I think I was trying to look it up and find out who the CEO was. They're white people, we know that, but I believe it's a white nationalist media outlet. I believe it is.
Yeah, but the quote is from Trump's lawyer. He said Donald Trump is Tupac. Trump is Biggie Smalls, and his diet is only going to damage. I put it in the jumbotron if y'all want to see it from the RLM. So yeah, that's what we're looking at. Donald Trump is Tupac.
Man, that's ignorant though. That is so ignorant to even compare. You can't make that kind of comparison. It just
Both
don't
of them
even
are dead. Both of them are dead.
Yeah. So
I don't know.
I wouldn't.
I don't know. Look, hey, Newstoter, before you even start, are we going to discuss what's going on in these Twitter streets with the LSU and the Iowa controversy?
I'm gonna probably cover that the next day or so, Black Native. But yeah, we're gonna probably touch up on that as well too.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
they both know. I don't know if y'all seen this. I just tweeted it out.
Yeah, I've tweeted that out a couple times a day. But yeah, I want to go ahead and probably cover that with a couple other topics in the Twitter space. If not tomorrow, Wednesday. I'm trying to get somebody to come in too. So I don't know if I'm gonna be able to get them to come in this week, defending a person that's on death row as well. So we're trying to work something out on that behalf. But yeah, we're definitely gonna go ahead and cover that as well too. So.
But did you see what she just tweeted? And I just tweeted our sweet first lady. What's her name? What's her Bible? Is her name Barbara Biden?
Talk about Jill Biden. Talk about Jill.
Okay, she invited both of them to the White House. The losing team and the winning team. Now, who's really the sore losers in all of this?
Yeah.
My thing on it is this whole thing with the white girl. They've been making her look good in the media. They've been trying to make the black girl look like she's thugging. So they can kiss my ass with that shit.
Yeah, like
she's about to get a whole bunch of endorsements. How much you want to make a bet that white girl is going to get Gatorade, probably Nike, Adidas, just as a slap in the face to the black girl that won? She gonna get mad endorsements, and she was crying, so she did the Becky tears at the press conference. I just wanna say that I'm so, the usual thing that they do. They're despicable at this point.
Real talk, y'all. Let me go ahead, y'all, before we get too far in the other thing, because like I said, we do want to cover that as well too. But I'm gonna go ahead and try to give that its own space. Sometime this week, I want to definitely touch up on that as well too. But I definitely got to touch up being in Florida with everything that's going with the whole anti-wake movement that's taking place down here in Florida, and it just seeming to strengthen nationwide. I want to go ahead and touch up on just a couple things tonight. And I know you guys, where you're at, you probably seen things closely resembling what's going on here in Florida, because it's going on all throughout the entire nation, whether it's Mississippi, Jackson, Mississippi, and the water crisis, or the Jackson, Mississippi, and they're trying to make it into a totally a city that's 70-80% black, and trying to have it where white folks have their own separate law and they're ruling over black folks there. You see this whole movement that's just really taking place right now. So we definitely got to keep our eyes on it, and definitely speak up when we see this stuff happening as well too. First thing I want to touch up on tonight is this textbook that the actual textbooks that they got going on here, the Studies Weekly, and that's something that goes over close to 50,000 elementary schools in this country. But they're removing Rosa Parks' race up out of it. And it's just not Rosa Parks' race. They're removing history in general up out of these actual textbooks, trying to, I guess, soothe the actual feelings of a lot of the white kids and more. And it's not even the white kids, it's the white parents who have a problem with it now. These same white parents, a lot of them had no issue when they was in school and they learned, like, and let's be for real, at school, you're only going to get the very bare essential of black history. You're not going to get, it's not going to be something that's going to engulf you. They're going to give you the bare minimum of what black people went through in this country. And it's all going to be based off of the actual the times as slaves up until the civil rights movement. But you got people in this country now, a lot of white folks, a lot of Becky sitting up here as well too. Let's not just put it on DeSantis, but a lot of the actual, these wives and stuff of these people sitting up here complaining about what their kids have to endure. So let me touch up on this real quick, y'all. I see DJ, I see you up in here with the bar lord co-host thing. So what's up, DJ? Let me give a shout out real quick to everybody that also came up here. Goddess, I know you was on YouTube, and I guess you came back over here, Original, and everybody else. And I'm gonna go ahead and touch up on this, y'all. If you don't mind, go ahead and tweet the space out, and we're gonna go ahead and get it rolling. This is from the Defender Network. Defender Network is also up in the Jumbotron, and it says Florida textbook removes references to Rosa Parks' race. A textbook published in Florida has removed all references to the fact that Rosa Parks was a black woman, according to the New York Times. The move was made to get a committee's approval to use the books in the classroom. Parks helped spark the Montgomery bus boycott after she refused to give up her seat to a white man on a Montgomery, Alabama bus in 1955. In the current lessons by Studies Weekly, which is used in 45,000 elementary schools, the event is described. The law said African Americans had to give up their seats on the bus if a white person wanted to sit down. But in the earlier version created for Florida's review by Studies Weekly, the lesson changed to she was told to move to a different seat because of the color of her skin. In the group's second updated version, race is removed completely from the lesson. She was told to move to a different seat. Study Weekly has made changes to their fourth grade lessons about segregation laws. In the initial version, the text explained how Black Americans were affected by Jim Crow laws that arose after the Civil War. But like its updates to the Parks lesson, the second version eliminated almost every direct mention of race. Instead, the lessons were changed to say it was illegal for men of certain groups to be unemployed, and that certain groups of people who were not allowed to serve on the jury. Florida is currently reviewing social studies curriculum, which includes flagging any topics that could be deemed as critical race theory, a collegiate level framework used to explain systematic racism in the United States that has become a political catch-all buzzword for any teaching on race. Though Florida's Department of Education mandates the teaching of Black history, critical race theory is banned in Florida's public schools, though most experts on the subject say it is not taught in elementary or even high schools. Still, the theory has become a major point of contention for Republicans, including Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, who signed legislation last year that prohibits the instructions that could make students feel responsibility, guilt, or anguish for what other members of their race did in the past. As the Republican governor's administration targets his state social studies curriculum, a small army of Florida experts, educators, and political activists and parents have combed thousands of pages of books text as part of their review process. Early in the year, the administration banned an advanced placement African American Studies course from running in schools, accusing the College Board of indoctrination, not education. The Florida Department of Education suggested that Studies Weekly had overreached in its efforts to follow Florida law, saying in a statement to the New York Times that any publisher that avoids the topic of race when teaching the civil rights movement, slavery, segregation, etc., will not be adhering to Florida law. But during the curriculum review, Florida Citizens Alliance, a conservative education group whose co-founder served on DeSantis' education advisory team during his transition to governor, advised the state to reject 28 of the 38 textbooks it was tasked to review, including more than a dozen by a major national publisher, McGraw-Hill. According to the New York Times, the group's members accused the publishers of promoting their bias. The group objected to a fifth grade textbook mentioning slavery 189 times, and that an eighth grade book gave too much attention to the negative side of the treatment of Native Americans without detailing instances of their own violence, such as the Jamestown Massacre of 1622, when warriors killed more than 300 English colonists. Study Weekly has removed its second version of the curriculum from its website and withdrawn its lessons from the state's review following questions from the New York Times. Florida is expected to announce its textbook decision in coming weeks. So you can just see exactly the mindset of these people. Now, race was mentioned too many times, and then even when it comes to the Native Americans, they're sitting up here and they're saying, well, you guys didn't show the actual violent nature of them as compared to us. So yeah, we getting the brunt of it, but they're gonna change history around altogether. Now, Rosa Parks, she should be one of the first names that when a child in this country, especially a non-black child, is learning about Black history, she should be one of the first names that comes to mind. But now we got to the point where they have totally, in these Florida textbook and Studies Weekly, to get it approved here in Florida, they have totally wiped Rosa Parks' name about the history book. It's just basically a woman just had to give up her seat. Want to take her name away, want to take her race away. You want to talk about, you want to take away the fact that you had segregation and Jim Crow in this country. It's just now slavery, and it won't be long, but that slavery just be indentured servitude. And it's not even indentured servitude, because I've heard even in some books in certain parts of the country, it's just people that were workers, that slavery that you just migrated to this country. Everything that, history as we know it is being changed totally to fit the narrative of the people that's the ruling class of this country. It's to the point now that now we're sitting up here and you can't even sit up here and mention Rosa Parks' name, somebody who was a hero, somebody that in modern time, like I say, that not only should every Black child know who Rosa Parks is, but every white child, every Asian, every Hispanic, anybody that's learning about Black history, she should be one of the actual, prerequisites that you got to actually know. You got to know who Rosa Parks is. If you know who Martin Luther King is, you got to know who Rosa Parks is. Go ahead, Ray.
I was just going to add in the reason why they want to remix history, in my opinion, is because they don't want either one to ever take any blame for it. The white supremacists that enslaved our ancestors, the whole thing now is, those people are dead and gone. We need to move on. And they're just going to keep pushing the blame, kicking the can down the road as far as we can. Now, like I said, they only want to talk about Rosa Parks' race. I mean, come on, how far are they going to try to push it?
Well, think about this right here, and I'm going to get to you, Black Native. First, they go ahead and they say, there was a law that said African Americans had to give up their seat to if a white person wanted to sit down. Then they say, well, that's too real. Let's go ahead and change it. So then they took her name out and they say, well, she was told to move to a different seat because of the color of her skin. But they said, well, you know what? Let's go ahead. I think we can do you one better than that. Then all of a sudden, like she was told to move to a different seat. So first we take the race out. Then we take the skin color out, and now we just have somebody that's just moving to another seat. What? I mean, that doesn't even make sense. So a woman just ups and has to move to another seat. There's no description. You're not telling the kids why this woman had to move to another seat. A woman just had to move to another seat. Now, most of us know that most of the time on buses or any place else, women are going to be the last ones that have to move. So all of a sudden, a woman has to move. I mean, it doesn't even make any sense. Go ahead, Black Native.
Yeah, they did They did the same thing with the Moors. When the Moors finally was kicked out of Spain and Europe, they burnt the books, all of the books, to rewrite history. So they're just repeating what they've always done. And, you know, like you said, they're even trying to say the slaves were workers. But it's up to us to teach our children, because we see what's happening. And if we're not going to get out there and really stomp and say, no, you're not changing the color of Rosa Parks, and try to appease, like you said, it's the parents, to make you feel like you don't want your children to look at you like, God damn, y'all was really doing this to people back like maybe 60 years ago. So it's to ease their conscience. So we need to teach our children and be like, no, this is actually what happened. And we need to have these books, because eventually Google, where you can literally Google information, that's going to be gone too. If they're trying to erase it from the books, Google is going to have a whole new definition. They might have Rosa Parks looking Hispanic and Mexican at the end of the day, like they did Michael Jackson. Y'all don't remember that movie that came out, Finding Neverland, and they had literally a white man playing Michael Jackson.
Yeah.
And we all here, we still, you know, how long Michael Jackson been dead? Like 9 or 10 years? We all
No, Michael Jackson, he's been dead since 2009.
Okay, so that's what, about 12 years, maybe 13 years?
14.
14 years. But we all know Michael Jackson is black. Like literally, we all know Michael Jackson from the Jackson 5, his mother. But this is what they did, and if we didn't push back, they would have had, you know, this movie would have been circulating all around the globe. Like, hey, look, y'all, because he bleached his skin or because he had vitiligo, now you got a white man playing Michael Jackson who is a black American. So this is what they do. You know, they want to relieve themselves of the guilt. They don't want their children to feel uncomfortable. Meanwhile, they over there abusing our children in the schools daily. So yeah, we got to get a hold on this, and we should really do pushback, because this is not even about CRT. That's the cloak. You understand? They don't want it has, because CRT, from what I'm understanding, CRT is not even taught, in the schools until you reach college level. So they're over here trying to say, oh no, we don't want CRT taught in the 2nd and 3rd grade. It's not even being taught in the 2nd and 3rd grade. That's not part of the curriculum. So this is the guise that they're using to remove our history. And I don't understand how the hell you gonna. So what they gonna make Rosa Parks look like? Is she gonna be Asian, or is she just gonna be invisible? Because she was an actual woman that did these deeds, and she was one of the people, not the main person, but one of the main characters that set off the civil rights movement in this country. So we have to do something about it. We can't sit back and let this happen. Because if we sit back and let it happen, they're going to allow it to happen. And I'm going to land my plane. I'm going to say this. If you saw that video, it's a video that came out, and this was, I believe, in California. And they were having a discussion of CRT, and it was a white man standing and looming over a young black girl like he wanted to punch her, and a black guy got in front. But look at the visuals. All of those white people were standing around watching as this white man was about to attack. Looked like the girl was like maybe 10 years old. Nobody intervened.
There was 3 white women standing there right around the girl too. 3 white women standing right there.
All of them were. They were sitting in the chairs looking, but does that remind you of what they did the same thing in the past? Nobody intervened. So when they say that, oh, we weren't there and we had nothing to do with slavery, you're your ancestors. Just like we're our ancestors, you're your ancestors. And I'll land with that.
All right. Thank you, Black Native. Real quick, guys, I put up in the Jumbotron on the far left-hand side the YouTube channel, the Newstoter YouTube channel. So, guys, make sure you go ahead and please subscribe to that YouTube channel. On the far left-hand side, the YouTube channel is up in there. So while you're listening to the actual space, you can go over there. I will be sending out reminders at night, trying to get people that have not already subscribed to the YouTube channel to go ahead and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Got to build up the subscriber list, y'all. We're trying to do that. So also got to go ahead and put that newsletter up in there as well, too. But yeah, we got to go ahead and try to keep this stuff. We can't let it go to the back burner, Black Native, like you saying, and how you were saying that they burned the books down that the Moors had. Hell, they burned down the damn libraries that you had in Kemet in ancient Egypt. So burning and destroying things that Black people build and stuff like that's not anything new. Go ahead, Black Native.
Right, I'm agreeing with you. They also did it in Timbuktu when they had, because in Timbuktu, that was one of the largest libraries in the world at one time. And I believe they blew it up with cannons. They destroyed it. So anytime they get a hold or anytime they feel any kind of inconvenience or like look, equality is oppression to white people. Let's just keep it all the way real. Like, they don't want that, and they don't want to feel any kind of way. And a lot of it has to do with us saying, hey, we want reparations. So if they can say, well, hey, it was never any slavery, y'all were workers. See, they could run that game. Even though we know the truth, and they know the truth, but they could run that game. And a lot of those people are still alive when Rosa Parks decided not to get her butt off and sit in the front and move to the back of the bus. Their grandparents are still here. They know what's happening, and they will sit back and allow it to happen if we don't do anything about it. I'll end.
Let me give a shout out real quick to Brother McCoo. Thank you for your contribution on Cash App. I'm going to go ahead, y'all, and I'm going to touch up real quick on the actual Ruby Bridges film. There was also that Florida schools ban. You had one white parent complain, and I do when I say one white parent complain, and they went ahead and they pulled it. This is from Black Enterprise. It's titled, published, Florida school officially banned Ruby Bridges film after one white parent complains. It's a real quick article. The 1998, and this is published by Black Enterprise, curator Newstoter.com platform. It's up in the actual Jumbotron. The 1998 Disney movie Ruby Bridges was recently banned at a Florida elementary school because one white parent complained that it wasn't appropriate for second graders. According to the Tampa Bay Times, a North Shore elementary mother submitted a complaint after she did not allow her child to watch the film when it showed in early March. Emily Conklin wrote that the use of racial slurs and scenes of white people threatening Ruby as she entered the school might result in students learning that white people hate Black people, per the news outlet. I find that interesting what she said too. Check out what she says. And this is from the actual news outlet quoting her. It says she entered a school that might result in students learning that white people hate Black people. She didn't say that it may show that the movie may be biased and show that white people hate Black people. She said students learning that white people hate Black people, per the news outlet. This is per Tampa Bay Times. I'm not a huge fan of the Tampa Bay Times, but this is what they said. The iconic story of the 6-year-old girl who endured racial heckling and harassment when she integrated a New Orleans school in the 1960s has been the staple. Hey, Black Native, got to mute your mic. Black Native. The iconic story of a 6-year-old girl who endured racial heckling and harassment when she integrated New Orleans schools in the 1960s has been a staple of the Pinellas County Black History Month lessons for years, reported the Times. However, Pinellas school officials responded to the formal challenge dated March 6th by pulling the film from the St. Petersburg school until it could be reviewed. The banning comes at a seeming controversial time in Ron DeSantis, Florida. The Florida governor is concerned with woke culture is fostering an environment that has caused educators to be unsure if even the most basic Black history lessons are appropriate for students. They are terrifying teachers. People don't want to be teachers in Florida. The View's Anna Navarro said during a Friday broadcast. Florida's insanity and manic paranoia, she said, was compelled by DeSantis' recent tactics. They are banning absolutely everything that isn't a kitchen sink. And tomorrow I may wake up and the kitchen sink has been banned, she said, per the New York Post. Rick Davis, president of Concerned Organization for Quality Education for Black Students, sent a concerning open letter to the community questioning leadership decisions. Many from the historically marginalized communities are asking whether this so-called integrated education system in Pinellas County can even serve the diverse communities fairly and equitably, Davis wrote. At the highest level of decision making in the district, they have to have more sensitivity to the diversity of the community they serve and not overreact because one white person objected to something. Like I said, I found that really, really, really just and this was the actual Tampa Times quoting this woman. She says, Conklin wrote that the use of racial slurs and scenes of white people threatening Ruby as she entered the school might result in students learning that white people hate black people. Think about what this white lady said here. The same one that wants this movie pulled. This is her words, according to the Tampa Times. Now, it's not to say the Tampa, we know newspapers and media can take people's words and twist it. But this mother says the use of racial slurs of white people threatening Ruby as she entered the school might result in students, mind you, these are second grade students as well, might result in students learning that white people hate black people. She didn't say that, hey, I felt that the film may make it seem that all white people are racist, or I felt that that they may make it seem that all white people disliked it. But she said result in students learning that white people hate black people. This is based on what the Tampa Times said. I'm going to say about what the Tampa Times say because I wasn't there to actually hear it or record it or write it down. But based on what the Tampa Times is saying, what this woman, Emily Conklin, wrote, the use of racial slurs and scenes of white people threatening Ruby, okay, we know how old Ruby was at the time she was going to school, as she entered the school might result in students learning that white people hate black people. Professor, you go ahead and Black Native, you got it.
Yeah, thank you, Newstoter. Once again, brother, you always have great spaces, man, and that's what we love about your spaces. So, definitely keep up the good work, which I know you will, with brother DJ up in the house right there, or I should say, AKA the Barlow. That's right, the Barlow. Sound like some nigga that's about to do drinking or something.
Hey, Thursdays at the liquor store. Holla at Governor. Holla at Governor.
I know it. And see Brother Buko in the house. Good to see you, Brother Way, of course. Original Blood. Black majority down there. Good to see you, Sister Black Native. Sincerely, B-Raw, Dark and Lovely, One Black down there. All of y'all up in the space. Good to see y'all. Basically, man, this lady admitted basically what we already know. It was told, and that is these caucasoids hate black Americans, man. They hate us to the core. And they're willing to do anything necessary to erase our history and basically to erase us from America. So we know what we got to do. We got to stand up to these folks, man. It's going to come down to the fact that we are on the battle lines with these folks. And so we just got to face it, y'all. These folks trying to do everything they can to move us out of history, move us out this country. And this is why you're seeing these white police officers violating us every which way. If you notice, y'all, look at the videos. In the videos, these folks just pull you over for no reason. Coming up in your houses for no reason. Don't have any warrants. Just absolutely violating you at any time, at will, and we got to stand up to it. That's all it comes down to. And that's why I'm telling y'all, as we move on in this nation, things are only going to get tougher. They're going to keep passing these different types of laws to get at us. And so you need to have your 2A up. I'm telling you where the country is headed. You see the climate. All of you in here, you see the climate. Have your 2A up. Be ready. You got and tomorrow, you better be ready tomorrow. These motherfuckers crazy as hell out here, man. Shit, they mad at our brother Alvin Bragg up there in New York right now. Been threatening him. He's a DA up there in New York. you got crackers threatening this man because he has indicted a man that was a crook. Now, let's be honest, Trump is a crook. He is. Hell, and he's not the only one. All of them up there crooks, but he's a crook. And Alvin Bragg is a black American, and he has indicted his damn ass. And so these no good ass white folks are threatening him. They threaten him. They're saying all kinds of shit. I have heard people in stores making threats about this man. Okay, so I'm just letting you know all that you're seeing with all these CRT bills. This Ron DeSantis trying to get everything passed out in Florida, trying to ban Ruby Bridges, banning Rosa Parks. All of this goes hand in hand where these folks are trying to remove us from every damn thing. Okay? So black Americans in this space, I'm telling you, be prepared, be ready. It's time for us to go at these folks hard, man. We can't back down. I land my plane there.
All right. Thank you, Professor. Go ahead, Black Native. I see Rella came up here as well, too. So shout out to you, Rella. You got it, Black Native.
Yeah, I was just reading up on Ruby Bridges, and I just want to, just in case some people in here don't know what actually happened to this girl who was in kindergarten, which would make her about, 5 at the time when she, attended this school. It says, I'm going to give you a little bit of info. Ruby Bridges, she's 68 right now. So she's still alive. And I will hope, let me see where she lives. Okay, she lives in, it doesn't say, but she's from Mississippi, Tylertown, Mississippi. It says Ruby Neal Bridges Hall, I guess Hall is her name because she's married, is an American civil rights activist. She was the first African-American child to desegregate the all-white William Frantz Elementary School in Louisiana during the New Orleans school desegregation crisis on November 14, 1960. She is the subject of a painting, but it also says that she had to be escorted by federal marshals. So a 5-year-old child had to be escorted by federal marshals in order to go to kindergarten. And they have a problem with that. White people like to project, and I'm tired of the gaslighting. And I love that word because, hey, that's exactly what they've been doing for the past 500 years since we came in contact with these people. They have been manipulating, gaslighting, lying, stealing, projecting, all of the faults and all of the feelings that they have. They put it on us. If the sun don't shine, it's black people's fault. If it rains when they said it's supposed to be sunny, it's black people's fault. This bitch, excuse my French, hates black people. And a lot of them up in Florida hate black people. So this is just an excuse. And for one parent to have that much power, it tells you a lot. They wanted to do this the whole time. They just needed somebody white to say, hey, I don't want my kids to feel like, all white people hate black. But that's what happened. This is actual history. There are videos on YouTube of the actual events. So no matter how they try to keep it out of the schools, just like, CRT and whatever else they're pulling, not discussing Rosa Parks' color, it's not going to work because we will teach our children. And if we have to pull our children out of these schools, we will do that. And once we decide to do that, it's over. You can no longer brainwash our children. You can no longer feed misinformation to our children. We're going to teach the truth. And that's what needs to be taught. So, yeah, this is some bullshit. And she's projecting. And I'll land my plane. Thank you.
Thank you, Black Native. And you're right. I'm here in Florida. And you're right. It's a bunch of them down here can't stand black folks. They don't. And down here, a whole lot of them, some of them are pretend and some of them straight up with you and let you know they can't stand you. So I'm in 100% agreement. Everything you said right there. Rella, how you doing tonight? Go ahead and unmute your mic.
Hey, brother, how are you? Hey, DJ. All my
What's
brothers
up?
in the room, all the kings and sunflowers, all the sunflowers in the room. How are you?
We're doing good.
Killer?
Doing good.
Killer.
That's for the change this black native up in the space. Sincere, I see you, beautiful. All the beautiful people in the room. Leon, Dr. Lovely, Reba, yes, Stephanie, Heavenly. Listen, Black. So I just want to say that Ron DeSantis he's doing his immigrant bidding, and it's crazy because we sit around and we understand that we're going through a process of delineation, and we're going through a process of finally, I think, holding the United States to an accountability standard that did not get to happen fully. I felt like our ancestors were on to something. Ruby Bridges and her mother, her parents, they were on to something. Even if people didn't agree with desegregating the schools, I think when you see, when you see a young Black girl trying to get an education, or a young Black child, and the parents supporting their children trying to get an education, and you see the depiction of how savagery and the degeneracy of white individuals who pride themselves on today to say that those behaviors that they actually express are patriotism. We now can wholeheartedly say and look at that and say, no, that's not patriotism. That's domestic terrorism. And Ron DeSantis is wanting, if even one white person feels uncomfortable, that they should be able to be Karens and Kens, and they should be able to act in such a disingenuous and degenerate way that we no longer say anything. I remember seeing a video of a woman walking down the sidewalk. I don't think that was in Florida, but she was telling some kids to move off the sidewalk so she and her daughter can get by. This is the culture they want to actually rewind us back into. But we need to go ahead and fast forward their asses off the planet if that's where they choose to go. Because there should be no reason and no way that a woman could actually send in a letter to the article, which I hope you can send me that Newstoter, because we really should be bombarding that news outlet with our commentary back about the degeneracy of her comments. And we should be making sure that Ron DeSantis get letters and that he's receiving information that what he's doing is wrong, because he's trying to get even people who don't live in Florida to be silenced about him. And see, these are the plagues of people who do not come from this country. And they've been practicing these behaviors since the dawn of time. And so we really, and I agree with Professor, it's time for us to start lighting their asses up. And when I say light their asses up, I'm talking about exposing them to the highest of the high. If you have to go and you have to take out ads and you got to do whatever you need to do to write the newspaper, somebody, I don't care, do it. Because these people are going to keep doing what they're doing because they're not getting the pushback from the Democratic Party or the Republican Party in the way that they would from society. That's why he's trying to shut society down. The Republican Party don't fuck with Ron DeSantis. So he's as much as he's trying to change the environment down in Florida, he's walking on a tightrope, a thin rope himself. And we need to go ahead and knock his ass off, because he really has a problem. He has a problem, and what they do is psychologically try to say, these are those, the Jedi mind tricks. No, I'm not practicing racism, but I'm practicing racism. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure that we're not going to really call it what we're doing. We're just going to say these things offend me. That makes me uncomfortable. You understand the terms, right? So you do that right back. Well, based on his woke policy try to get passed and any other policy that you can find, I'm going to start digging up on his ass. We need to do the same thing. I believe that he's trying to make Florida an uncomfortable place to live. It is not safe for Americans. I believe that he is for immigration. Like, just shit that go after his character. Because that woman is another carbon copy of him. Those are people who are carbon copies of him. And we have to kill that cancer. Those are cancer cells. And we have to make sure that we are the eliminator, the great equalizer. And that's what we have been sent here on this planet to do. That's what we have been birthed to do. And we need to get to work. Pen, paper, emails, I don't care, whatever you can do. Podcasts, start them. YouTube channels, get them going. And what you do is you turn their language back on them. And it would be rightfully so. And I land.
Thank you, Rel. It's always informative, and I definitely appreciate that. One thing I will say is DeSantis is going to try to tell you that, hey, he's not for illegal immigration for the simple fact that he takes those immigrants and he ships them up there to D.C. and New York and all those other places. So that's going to be his out in terms of the actual immigration. But he's sitting up here, and I said it before in other spaces, he's trying to appease to that lower base of the GOP, the absolute white supremacists, the ones that rush the Capitol. He's trying to go ahead and he's trying to show people that he's a more intelligent, smoother version of Donald Trump. So he looks up to Trump. He idolizes Trump. He knows that Trump showed a lot of these rednecks in this country how you can galvanize the actual party and become president. Trump's only error was that he was too stupid. He didn't know when to shut his mouth up. He just kept going on and on and on and on. So DeSantis is trying to do it a little bit different than Trump, but he's trying to show you that he's just as low down and he'll do anything that Donald Trump will too. He's trying to ingratiate himself. It's a reason, like Professor said, that you have a lot of these Trump supporters sending threatening letters to the DA up there in Manhattan because they simply can't get their way. So everybody's always talking about how violent black people are and black people doing this and that or whatever. But anytime something doesn't go a certain demographic's way in this country, they talk about either leaving the union, leaving that we're going to receive the people in Texas every so often. They sit up here with this nonsense about they're going to succeed from the union. Then you got people up here, and this is from the days of in the wild, wild west, when you had law authority out there. And people would shoot a damn deputy or sheriff down like he was nothing, cut him right to pieces. Same way that they feel the same way. I mean, I guarantee you that nobody attacks and shoots police officers more than white men. So they can sit up here and put all the blame and blame black men, but nobody shoots them and nobody tells them to go to hell more in their face than other white men. Volvo.
Newstoter, there was just another attack on a university.
Unfortunately, that's becoming the norm, and that's sad to say because so many of us have family members and stuff at these universities that you have to worry about their safety. But all these mass shootings and stuff like that popping off at these universities and public places, really is really a cause for concern right now. It's frightening that you just don't know. You can't go in public. You can't go in a public place and feel safe anymore. Volvo, what's going on tonight?
I hope I'm not kind of off topic. I came in a little bit late, but I just wanted to say this, right? We ain't never gonna have peace until we separate from these people. Period. That's just what it is. Now I know that we gonna always have to deal with them because we live around them, but we need a buffer between us and them. You know what I mean? That's when we'll have peace. Right now, we in the time of people is separating away from these white folks. That's what China and Russia and all them doing. They separating. They coming off the dollar and all that. They coming up with their own currency. They don't need these white folks for nothing. Everybody is separating from these white people, and that's what we need to do. That's what reparations would do. It would put a buffer between us and them. That's why they fighting so hard for us to not to get reparations. this is a parasitic people. They need a host. When you would run off the plantation, they would spend top dollar to get you to come back. When you start building your own towns and cities and businesses, they will come sabotage it and burn it down. So you got to come back to them because they need a host. That's what they fear more than anything is separation. And now that the world is waking up to their game and people starting to separate from them and say, no, I just don't want to fuck with what you're doing. They panicking right now. You know what I mean? So, I just wanted to say that, man, we need to separate from these people because they parasitic. And we've been their host for far too long. Appreciate you letting me speak, brother.
No problem. I'll say this right here, Vovo. And it's two parts of that equation. I'm going to go ahead and touch up on this NAACP as well, offering this issuing this travel advisory for Florida. I'll say this right here. We've been, for the past 60 years, we've been integrated to the point that I just don't think that you would be able to get enough black folks to really look at that realistically. I think that you'd have some, but you got to remember that we're so infused into the actual fabric of this country, how everything works now, that the social integration that we actually enjoy, that we actually love it. Think about some of our prominent black people. If you were to say, you suggest something like this, they would say that you're crazy and you need to be put in a straitjacket, that you can't do this. And we fought so hard to get away from this. I would say this on the flip side as well, too, is that to a certain degree, we are segregated when you think about it. Most of us live in predominantly black neighborhoods. Most of us, if you go to church, the church you go to is black. The people you hang around are black. Most of the schools that your kids go to are black. Now, that's not to say every single solitary person, but to a certain degree, we still are somewhat of a segregated nation. Not to the point that we were in the 50s or the 60s or even the 70s for that matter, but we still somewhat pretty much segregated. Now, I know what you're saying, that you're talking about complete separation. And I guess you mean talking about in terms of just not only where you live, but having a business or those you work for and everything else. And like I said, I don't know how realistic that is at this point in time.
That's what I was saying, though, brother. We'd never be able to separate completely from the people, but we do need to put a buffer in place. Like, we got to live. These people ain't going nowhere. It is what it is for us. But what I'm saying, like, right now, the world is separating away from these people. Motherfuckers tired of dealing with them. Like, we ain't the only ones. You know what I mean? Like, with China and Russia and South Africa, they telling motherfuckers that in order to get AIDS, you got to be gay. They basically telling these people to suck their dick. You got to suck a dick to get AIDS. Like motherfuckers ain't feeling it. I ain't never seen no African nation stand on principles like that with no white folks. Motherfuckers is sick of them, man. Like, you know what I mean? Like, we not the only ones. We just the ones that got to live with them. We got to live with them. You know what I mean? Unless we figure out a way to get them out of here, and that's not realistic. But that was all I'm saying. I didn't mean to cut you off.
Oh, no. You was good. I'll say this to a certain degree. I get what you're saying. Like, these nations, some of them are separating, like the Chinas and the and maybe Russia to a certain degree. But think about how many people run into this country. Like, for those that want to separate, think about the 5-6 million a year that's trying to sneak into the United States. Like, so it more than evens out. Because if the United States said tomorrow, say, hey, you know what, the first 10 million people that want to come into this country as immigrants will go to, man, please, it'll be a stampede.
Yeah, but brother, because they power is their money. Now that China coming up with its own money. You know what I mean? They taking everybody up. They trying to take half the world off the dollar. Now China ain't using no guns and making motherfuckers be gay and all that type of shit. They saying we'll come build some shit for you. Just take our money. What they doing is brilliant. They really using white people's evil, wicked nature against them. And now they taking everybody. Now they trying to remove the dollar and make their money the number one currency in the world. It's really brilliant, and they gonna pull it off too.
So that means their power is actually not their money. The power is actually in them being on one accord, in spite of, because they got differences amongst each other that they don't all agree with. And I think that is the whole point that we've been actually trying to, I think, get to a point where we all get some understanding with ourselves in the whole arguments that have been going across Twitter. Regardless of what I think we all are believing, melanated Black Americans, people who are in the United States right now, our power is in our unity, as cliche as that sounds, because with that comes and yields the money, which actually garners even more power. That's the display that China, Russia, and the Arab countries are trying to show. They're trying to show, guess what? We can be, oh my God, I'm saying, guess what? We can be just as strong and powerful and be a greater force against the United States. And that still will impact us. As much as we can admit these things that are happening, we will be impacted. And white folks like Ron DeSantis, the woman who wrote the letter, and these Marjorie Taylor Greens, and all these liberal pundits, they all practice the same supremacy practices against one particular group, us. And everyone that comes here, they never fall into the group of fighting for our freedom and our repair. They fall into what groups they fall in? They fall into the groups that are practicing supremacy. And then they'll turn around and say, well, we are the injured. We are the ones who require resources. And what they do is they overpopulate places, right? They get into positions of authority, like, Black always talks about. Authority it's not just based on state authority, but when we're talking about authority, we're talking about people who have the ability to tell you no, to deny you access.
Well, let me say this right, sis. These people didn't come here to fight. They done fighting. They done fighting. They left their fight. So they came here to join them. They gonna do whatever them folks say. Because them folks winning. They the winners. They got the money. But what I was saying is that they dollar ain't about to mean as much as it used to mean.
Let me tell you something, Vovo. When Gaddafi was murdered, guess the one thing that that one African president, I think he was a president or some sort of dignitary. There's a video going around, and he said, America's crimes, they have went in and they have destabilized nations. The one thing that America will never do is allow the dollar to fall. I understand that a lot of people, listen, just hear me out. I know, hear me out. They will never allow the dollar to fall. They're not going to pay back. All these white folks running around here talking about some, and some Black people who are running around behind them coons, running around talking about some. Well, look at the increase in the debt ceiling. The debt ceiling can be out the wazoo. It's going to be bigger than $30 trillion, and guess what? They'll never pay it. Never. That's why we're a country that runs on credit. They'll never pay the debt ceiling because they'll never allow the dollar to fall.
Can I for like 1 minute on that?
Yeah, you got it.
I just don't want to. I know he can hit a certain topic, but it's just like we got to get off that. You got to pay attention to the world. You gotta see what's going on. Money is whatever you say the money is. Whatever the people agree with the money is, that's the money. When I was a kid, we used to trade Pokemon cards. That was the money. When I was in Job Corps, we used to trade cigarettes. That was the currency. Like that's like the money is whatever the people say the money is. The people been saying that the money is the dollar. Now China is taking them off the dollar. China and Russia and all them, they understand that that's the power. It's the money. So now they want to say, here, you take my money. instead of you dealing with these white folks that's been doing you bad, here you can deal with our money, and we ain't did nothing to you, and we'll come build you a hospital, and we'll build you a road. All they gonna do is take out of your country. They ain't putting nothing back in, and they want to make you gay too. They saying you gotta be LGBT. I don't care about none of that. Here, take my money. Which one would you take? Would you take America's dollar and they telling you gotta be LGBT, or you gonna take my dollar and I'm gonna build you a hospital? That's common sense.
Can I ask you a question, Rosa? So,
real quick, Black Native. I want y'all to just hold that real quick because I want to go ahead and get to that next topic. I just want to cover this next story. It's quick, it's short, and you guys can go, you and Volvo and Rella, y'all can go right back on what y'all talking about. This is just simply talking about the NAACP that issued a travel advisory for Black Americans coming to the state of Florida from Black Enterprise. It's also in the Jumbotron. I'm going to hit it real quick. It's titled, it was published by Black Enterprise, curated by Newstoter.com. Stay away, Florida NAACP chapter wants to issue travel advisory for Black Americans. One Florida NAACP chapter is calling for Black people to stay away from the Sunshine State. CBS News reports the Hillsborough of the NAACP is working toward a travel advisory for the state on the heels of the state's anti-Black legislation put in place by Republican Governor Ron DeSantis. Y'all see a recurring theme tonight. It's about the Republican Ron DeSantis and his cronies up here in Florida. Leaders are hoping this advisory will bring awareness and education to Black Americans. Hillsborough County Chapter President Yvette Lewis said she met with the NAACP members and agreed to work with the national office on this advisory. Just educate yourself on what is really going on and why, Lewis said. Be aware of where you spend your dollars at, make your dollars count for you, and make your dollars worth something and worthwhile. Lewis and NAACP are focusing on recent laws put in place to ban books which must not have any bias when it comes to race, cultural diversity, and social economic issues. Certain books in question include Angie Thomas, The Hate You Gave, and the late legendary novelist Toni Morrison's Beloved. The iconic organization is concerned about the recent rejection of high school advanced placement African American studies course, which DeSantis said contributes to a political agenda and lacks educational value. They will have some backup, as last month, Reverend Al Sharpton and other civil rights activists protested in front of Florida State Capitol building in Tallahassee. While the travel advisory may be an appropriate first step, some Florida business owners aren't on board. WESH2 News talked to business owners who feel the proposed plan would put a damper on business. It would be very, very detrimental to us because everybody who comes from out of town, they really do support us in a way that some of our locals can't support all the time, said Shania Atkins, owner of Nikki's Place Southern Cuisine in Orlando. They know where to come and get a good plate, and that's just different and off the beaten path, you know. Of course, DeSantis called winning advisory and called it a pure stunt. So go ahead, Black Native, you got it. I just had to go ahead and touch up on that. And real quick, up in the Jumbotron, like I said before, guys, is the actual YouTube channel. Make sure you go ahead and subscribe to the YouTube channel. I got to put the newsletter up there as well. We in the Jumbotron also is the Cash App, $Newstoter. If you want to contribute, if you want to donate this month, $Newstoter. Newstoter is the largest Black-owned Black American news curation platform today in America, churning out content daily that most other places can't. Newstoter is the largest Black-owned Black American news curation platform today in America. Once again, that is $Newstoter. If you don't have Cash App, we have the PayPal and Venmo in the Jumbotron as well, too. So go ahead, Black Native.
Yeah, I'm going to touch on the Florida travel ban. All of these Black store owners or business owners who feel that, you know, if Black people don't come to Florida, they will lose business or money. They need to get out there and protest. They need to get out there and say, look, what you doing, Ron DeSantis, is off code. We will not support you because you're affecting our dollar, our bottom line right now. And the NAACP, I don't take them seriously anymore. You know, they haven't been I would say, an accredited organization for the past 70 years. You know, they need to speak about what's happening over there in California with, what's his name, Amos, whatever this man's name is, over there.
Amos Brown.
Amos Brown. Yeah, they need to be discussing him. So, you know, they're irrelevant to me. But hey, Bubba Rand, so do you think that, and I'm being facetious right now, do you think that we should get, since they're saying that the dollar is not going to mean anything and, the yen is going to be, so are you saying that we should get our reparations in yen?
Yes, and I'm not being facetious.
See, I knew you was that. I knew that's where you was going, and I was being facetious.
I'm kind of playing. So I wasn't going there. No, I wasn't going there. But yeah, hell yeah, that's a good idea.
That's where you was going, brother.
No, that wasn't where I was going with that though. But that's actually a good idea.
So who's supposed to? So the yen. So you really believe that the yen is going to overpower the dollar? And you really believe that these white people is arrogant? They don't even want to take a loss to LSU. They over there bitching and moaning about that, and that's just a damn college women basketball game. You really believe that they're going to allow the China to overpower the dollar before they'll go to war on that? Believe it. We might not win.
No,
okay, well, you keep thinking that.
Let me say this, right, sis. Let me say this, right, sis.
Why you
Hold on, let her finish, Bovo.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, let her finish.
I thought you asked me. I'm sorry.
No, let me finish, and then you could rebuttal my statement. But I knew that's where you were going, and I was being very facetious at the time because I was like, so what is he trying to say? I've also heard people in these spaces talk about cryptocurrency, that we should get our reparations in cryptocurrency. See, when it comes to us, it's all it is debacle and debauchery. When it comes to paying us, when they still cutting checks in American dollars to everybody else, literally, right now as we speak. So I don't believe that as arrogant and prideful as the European man is in this country, that they will allow the dollar to fall. They're not going to be using Asian money. You got them all the way messed up if you believe that, Wolverine. I land.
All right, real quick, let me say this. I want to give a shout out to you. Thank you for your contribution on Cash App. But go ahead, Vovo.
Oh, Newstoter, I had to ask you a question right quick before you go back to them.
Oh, my bad. Go.
Let me say this. With this whole thing that's going around DeSantis, with the whole banning and every damn thing, it actually kind of brought up an idea for me, for this space, for your space, Newstoter. The next Negro that comes up in with these Caucasoid hands that keep raising their hand with the Caucasoid, yeah, we need to ban that too, see? That's right. That'll be the next ban we need to do. That's kind of a great idea that Ron DeSantis is doing. We can ban the Caucasoid hands up in these spaces.
Vovo,
Are you trying to tell Vovo to change his hand color to brown?
Vovo, you know how to change your hand color?
You better leave Vovo alone.
Okay, Vovo change it up too. He just changed it up too.
There you go. Professor. Okay, I'm gonna leave it alone. I'm gonna put you in time. You gonna be in time out in 2 seconds. 2 seconds. You know, Professor, one more again. You got one more again. You in time out.
All right, Vovo, you get.
That's what you said, Professor. But Vovo always comes up here with the opposition, and I love it. You know what I'm saying?
I love it too because he's critically thinking. I appreciate it.
I do too. That's why I do this with Bobo, because Bobo do play. He plays the devil's advocate very well.
And he's respectful. He's respectful though too, so I kind of give him that.
All right.
He always has chivalry, so I give him that definitely.
Let me go ahead and get to Vovo. Go ahead, Vovo. And Vovo, like I say, thank you for your contribution on Cash App. Thank you for always supporting the platform as always too, bro. I definitely appreciate that.
Oh yeah, no doubt, brother. I appreciate you keeping a good, clean room and letting us, to keep the conversation clean, ain't no trolling and all that. Let me say this though, right? I'm a truck driver, right? So I be in places and spaces the average person ain't going, period. Even the average white person, right? I see these little small towns. I see how white folks live. White folks live very good. I'm talking about, man, it's places where they got big farms, big big ass houses, big $100,000 piece of equipment sitting in the yard. They got all types of crazy shit. I know how they live. But this the thing though, right? China don't give a fuck. Them folks don't care. These people feel like they owe America one. They want to live good too. They feel like they just as prestigious of people as white people. They feel like they just as good as white people. They want to take the world off the dollar. They want, and they can do it. You saying they might start a war? That's what they're gonna have to do. But they don't really want to start no war. If they did, they would have stopped Russia from going into Ukraine. They did all that tough talking. Russia going to Ukraine is going to be a heavy price to pay. They ain't paying no price for that.
No, because Russia wasn't interfering with the dollar. So that's why they didn't get in. They are involved. They're involved. Don't think they're not involved. Go ahead.
They is interfering with the dollar. They sanctioned Russia. Russia not on the dollar no more. And they got all that oil and all that. They sanctioned Russia. So now you got Russia off the dollar, China, that big economy coming off the dollar, all these African countries coming off the dollar. Everybody, so now all these people want to come off the dollar. Like I said, the money is what we say it is. What they did is made people take the dollar. They went over there. She mentioned Gaddafi. Gaddafi said he wanted to trade gold as the currency. They killed his ass because Gaddafi ain't had no nuclear bombs and all that. That's what it's gonna have to be. Them white folks don't want that. They gonna take that L. They gonna take that L. You gotta pay attention to what's going on in the world. If half the world come off the dollar ain't gonna mean as much. You know what I mean? I land there, bro. I don't want to hog the mic with you.
No.
My main point was we need to start separating from these folks too.
But what about the yen? When I brought up should we get our reparations in yen, you said we should. Now
I wasn't necessarily saying that. So, like I wasn't. That wasn't where I was going. That wasn't where I was going at all. I swear that wasn't where I was.
You kind of was, because you literally said.
No. I'm a straightforward guy. That's what I believe. I just see it.
Okay, look, you was alluding to it. You were saying that our.
No, I wasn't alluding to it, but that wasn't on my mind when I was talking.
Okay.
Can I jump in?
Yeah, real quick, y'all. Real quick. Let me go ahead. Black Native, I'm gonna come back to you.
I'll go ahead and land for now. I'm going to land.
Let me go ahead and get to Rella, and then let me get to Brother McCoo as well.
Okay, real quick. So I just want people to know down in Florida, you can petition to have the governor impeached. And I'm going to read this to you. Okay? There are multiple states outside of Oregon that can actually impeach their legislators. Ron DeSantis is trying to make sure that doesn't happen. So he's hoping that a lot of you folks down there in Florida don't get your wake-up call and you actually stay focused on the fact that he's actually practicing degeneracy. It's time for you to go ahead and start to get to work. NAACP is talking about doing a travel ban, but they need to also be talking about doing a public, it says a public officer who violates the state's code of ethics is subject to a range of punishments, including impeachment, suspension, reprimand, salary reduction, and a civil penalty. Florida State Code 112.317A, a public officer who knowingly violates the law on inspecting, examining, and duplicating public records is subject to impeachment and other penalties. So it's a misdemeanor. So if he is deciding that he's going to take things off the books by creating other records or other legislation to violate a legislation that was already enacted, y'all need to get your attorneys. I don't know who down there that you got to talk to, but this might become like one of them a time to kill situations. The movie where you gonna have to go into one of them little courthouses with the wooden chairs, and bring this into a courtroom and file an impeachment. I'm just saying. Look into it. Okay. I think that's all I have.
Yes, ma'am. Rella, I'll say this right here. That I think that'd be a lot easier said than done. You're talking about Republicans who control both houses down here. They control it, both the House and the Senate. You got a Republican governor. Hell, it's 67 counties in Florida, and I would venture to say that out of those 67 counties, maybe 5 of them, maybe 6 of them are blue. That's what we're talking about here. You got to make
Newstoter. They can control everything and all they want. What it is you have to prove what they're doing. It violates the law. See, control and actually still upholding the law is 2 different things.
But let me just ask you, Rella, and I'm gonna kick it to you, brother Muko, in the chat. Also, let me give a shout out to my girl Cassandra. Cassandra, thank you for your contribution on Cash App. But do you honestly think in this state here, because Florida, we get the mix up here. People don't really understand Florida. Part of the state is Southern. The other part is kind of Yankee, is Caribbean, is country, it's industrial, is tourism. It's just a crazy state altogether. But do you honestly think that in this state of Florida, and I'm just your honest opinion, and I'm not gonna disagree with you one way or another, but do you honestly think that Ron DeSantis would be impeached in Florida?
Yes, because he's trying to stop it from happening. He's actually he's actually trying to get a bill passed that allows him to run for president and still maintain his governorship in the state of Florida. And if he does that, because remember his time is up in 2027.
Well, first off, let me just say this, Rella. If he was, let's just say this: that the country itself will look at him as a joke if they talk about you're going to be president and you're going to be the governor of Florida. Like the presidency is the presidency is the big prize. So you can only be one. It's like you can't be the heavyweight champion of the world and fight at middleweight at the same time. If you're the heavyweight champion, you got to move up to the heavyweight. You can't do both. Like
no, he's actually there was an article, and I'm gonna go find it.
I don't care what he's trying to do. The people will laugh at him. The people will laugh at this dude.
But Newstoter, it's bigger than just laughing. It's the mere fact that he has the authority to say that he can. That's the part that is the issue. And again, I'm not trying to say that governors shouldn't have authority, but him as the governor that has authority to actually eradicate a lot of legislation to let him pretty much destroy any hopes of having Black people down in Florida, the people that are still there having protections. He is dangerous, and he's working on doing that. And he's trying to, like you said, go under the guise of this more polished, more he's against immigration. Listen, you could be against immigration without harming the American people. And he's not doing that. He's willing to harm Black Americans while still talking about how he's going against immigration, while still noting that there are wink, wink, white owners in Florida who have businesses, or people who are immigrants who have businesses, and they're allowing illegals to work for them. So, okay.
Well, we'll see. Definitely, we'll stay updated on that. Like I said, I don't even to sit up here and say that you're gonna be both the sitting governor and the president of the United States is like. I mean, I said this before that this dude is an idiot, but you have to really be a special kind of idiot if you think that something like that is even possible. Go ahead, brother McCoo. How you doing tonight? I know you did you speak earlier? I can't remember.
No, I didn't speak earlier.
What's going on, bro? I'm glad to have you up in the space tonight. Good conversation as always. Everybody really kicking some great knowledge tonight. So go ahead. I know you got something that you want to add.
Hey, how you doing, bro? Everybody in the space. Oh Lord. Oh man, I'm still trying to recruit from last night, or this morning rather. But doing it again at night too. I'm gonna go with the Florida bans, and I came
came in the space late, so forgive me if I'm a little off, just like my man Bobo. But the Florida Rams, the Florida bands, I'm assuming you're talking about CRT.
Well, the not even CRT and this, you got these books and stuff in Florida. Well, what is it, the weekly studies? They pretty much have erased Rosa Parks' name up out of the actual book. They went ahead and took her race and her name from out of the book, and and they took the whole issue of her giving up her seat as being a racial issue. And with Ruby Bridges, you had this one white mother that complained. This one white mother complained about the actual film, and that it would teach it would show, actually in her words, it would actually show that show the students that white people hate black kids. So one parent objected, and they went ahead and pulled the movie so it could be reviewed. So
okay, well, I heard that part, and I'm gonna tell you, Toda, you are really instrumental in doing this, and another reason why I just love these spaces. But you pointed out a real interesting issue. This is not about trying to erase our history. This is clearly what they wrote. They don't want their children to learn. They don't want our children to learn. I mean, not their children. They want our children to learn that white people hate black people. You know what I'm saying? So I thought that was really an interesting point that you raised, because I think it's always been about that. I'm always harping on white supremacy, no matter what, nickname you want to call it, supremacy, or whatever. It's still white supremacy to me. And they are beating. This is clear evidence that they are winning. Okay? The fact that Ron DeSantis can even say that he's going to do something like that, run for president while being the governor or whatever the fuck. I mean, come on, man, this is white supremacy. Don't for 1 second think that shit is not possible, because guess what? And I'm saying guess what, just like my man Lee, guess what? It's about I'm white and I say so. You feel what I'm saying? I mean, come on, they already got illegal immigrants coming over here as honorary white people. How, Brother Muko? Because they said so. Okay? They said so. If you fucked up in the game and you ain't white, you're not fucked up in the game and you're not white because they say so. That's the shit we trying to change. As far as Ruby Bridges, we done had a lot of Ruby Bridges across America. I don't want us to get bamboozled into thinking white supremacy told us that story about Ruby Bridges. You know what I'm saying? It was a bunch of Ruby Bridges doing the same shit that Ruby Bridges did at that young age, and I know a few of them personally that still living to this day, and they'll tell you, no, she wasn't the only one going through that shit. I did that shit up here in Philly. I did that shit up here in Jersey. My parents sent me to the all-white school. I had to do the same thing, get exported by police. You feel me? Like, yo, white supremacy lied to us on every fucking front. That they have us so confused about everything. Not because we stupid, because we not. You feel what I'm saying? But this is their implement. This is their design. This shit is done on purpose to trip us up. You feel what I'm saying? So, NAACP, I've never fucked with the NAACP. I never could understand how we could call an organization ours, and it's started by a motherfucker that don't look like us. You know what I'm saying? That's just like us saying that these colleges, and I'm going to keep ranting on it, I'm going to keep harping on this shit. That's like we saying these colleges are historically black. But how the fuck is it historically black if it started by a white motherfucker or a white corporation? It ain't historically black. We gotta stop fucking lying. Because if we don't stop lying, we gonna be the ones bent over the bench getting fucked. With no Vaseline, with big dicks. Real talk. You know what I'm saying? I land there. I love y'all, man.
Real talk, Brother McCool. Let me ask you something real quick, because you're a business owner, and when I was just touching up on the on the actual advisory that the NAACP, and I know most of us don't rock with the NAACP. I don't rock with it. I had a bunch of family members back in the 80s reached out to them trying to get actual memberships and never heard a word back, anything like that. And we know most of the time they come around, it's got to be a major developing story, and the cameras have got to be around for them to actually come and give their time. But let me ask you, how do you feel about the one in particular black business owner in that article was saying that, you know, she was against them actually having this advisory about coming to Florida, basically because she felt that it would hurt her business. And I'm assuming that it's a black woman. Well, with the name, she got to be black, but I'm assuming this is a sister. So how do you feel about it, being a business owner yourself? And just how do you just, if that was up there in the Baltimore area and they were saying, you know what, don't come to Baltimore because all of this stuff that's been going on, blah, 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 whatever. As a black business owner, would you can you sympathize with her? Do you think she should just go ahead and suck it up and toughen it out? Just give me your personal opinion on that real quick.
That's a good question, Tota, and I'm always in the mind frame of if I'm winning and Tota's not winning, then we still lose. You feel me? And ultimately, I'm not surprised by that, but you ask my personal opinion, I would have to, and I always gotta be honest, in this system of white supremacy, I'm not even gonna sit here and lie like I'm a fucking big dog. I would have to succumb to white supremacy. Whatever the fuck they say or allow me to do with my business, that's what I'll have to do. Fuck my feelings. You feel me? Up here in Baltimore, they do a lot of bullshit to us business owners up here. And I always say it's the Bush effect. You know how Baby Bush was when they did what they did in Haiti, you know, and he wasn't reacting to that shit, and all Black America was getting mad, and Kanye went up there and said what he said about Bush. And what did Bush do? That nigga was sitting at his table eating a bucket of chicken like, yeah, I fucked you. What you gonna do about it? You know, I mean, we at the mercy of white supremacy until we change it. You feel what I'm saying? It's like no middle ground. Fuck the progress. The progress ain't shit until it's changed completely. So I don't know. It's kind of fucked up, but you know what I'm saying? It is what it is. At that point, I think my honest answer would be I would only be able to do what they allow me to do. Honestly.
All right, appreciate that. Let me go ahead and get to DJ. Go ahead. What's going on, man? I know you hadn't said anything. I'm gonna get to you, then I'm gonna get to you, Original. You there, DJ? Because he could be in the Matrix. I'm not sure if DJ is there. Try one more time. DJ, you there? Okay. Well, we'll come back to DJ. Let me go ahead and get to you, Original. How you doing tonight, Original?
Greetings, everybody. I'm doing well.
Uh-oh, Original. It sounds like you got some static in your phone.
Oh, do I see I got it now?
It's still, you may want to drop down and then come right back up.
Yeah, let me drop down.
Yeah. We'll wait for a second for Original to come back up here. But like I said, everybody's giving great insight and examples, and I definitely appreciate that. It's not an easy thing if you have a business and you got a family that you're trying to support, but we have businesses here in Florida and stuff, but at the same time, you do need to kind of punish the Sanders and them a little bit. I don't know if this is.
Hey, I gotta drop my hand real quick, but go ahead though.
Okay, because I know you had your hand up because that's what I said. Were you trying to speak, say something? Okay. Well, let me go to Original, then I get back to you.
But I'm just caught up right now. That's all.
Okay, you cool, man. Go ahead, Original.
Hey, DJ's taking Big Swole something to eat. I think that, you know what? I am so happy. Remember I told you, Ron DeSantis came to Cobb County here in the metro area, and someone sent me a text message as if I was going to go, and I let them have it. But I do believe, though, that I think the businesses, I think they're going to have to step up. I understand that things are tight, right now, and mean, with everything else that's going on economically and this, that, and whatever. But when I look at what our people did during the Montgomery bus boycott, some of them was threatened with losing their jobs, their livelihood, but they stayed focused on what the message was, that they had to do something to get these people up off their backs. And I think the black, they're gonna have to do the same thing, because this has gone on for too long. It's time to show these people who we really are and let them know, because how in the hell one stink ass white person gonna be able to have an effect on everybody else's children? I mean that right there just really pisses me the hell off. You got one stink white person, but if it wasn't for the women being in the room, I would call her something else, But and then again too, this is why I keep saying, see, not everyone, but a lot of people keep pushing to have, Black history taught in the school. And this is why I keep saying, education begins at home. And if we allow our enemy to teach our children their history, it may work from like 5 to 10 years. But after that, they're going to start their shenanigans again. And the children coming behind us will be even worse off. And this is why I also said that if you have a library, I don't care if it's 2 books in your library, in your home, if it has to do with our historical sojourn on this planet, make sure that you have a will, or you give them to somebody in your family or outside of your family before you transition up out of here, because that's going to be key. And we may have to start scanning stuff on PDF files and put them on flash drive or whatever, to make sure that the children coming behind us, they're going to have the truth. So when the enemy gives them the lies, they will have factual documentation to confront the enemy with and say, why are you lying to me? We got to put a stop to this big time. Because these people, and see, here's the other issue too. Now, if you remember now, when they was doing the so-called Don't Say Gay, Jim Crow Joe and that old stink Kamala, they were just talking about it. But see, when it's us, when it's black folks, they're mute, because they don't give a damn about black people. Now I'm looking at this and I'm like, okay, where is all your conversation now? Because as I said, when Jim Crow Joe ran for the White House, he had a platform for the gay white community, and all through the platform, he just cited LGBT. But when it came to black people, he had 2 platforms. One said an agenda for the black community, and the other one said lift every voice. And through both of those platforms, it said minority, people of color, poor people, the disadvantaged, and it was so ambiguous. It was just all over the place. Anybody with any issues could come in there and take if any resources were going to be divvied out. All other demographics could come in and take what they wanted, and we still left with nothing. And so this is why I've been telling people I'm not voting for the Democrats and the Republicans. If you want my vote, reparation must be on the agenda, because if it's not, I'm not giving you a free ride. We've done that for too long with the Democrats. So I can't go and give a Republican my vote. I know some people are concerned about the borders, but the borders do not come before black people issues. I don't care what anybody say. The borders do not come before black U.S. descendants of chattel slavery issues. I put it that way, because you got some people that look like us, and they are our enemy. So I'm not putting that border before us. I'm just not. Because if I do that, then I'm turning my back on what the people in the Montgomery bus boycott and everybody else did. And some of our people, they died destitute and everything else. So I cannot put them. I cannot turn my back on them like that. I just can't. You know, this is. I mean, this is serious. So I'm going to land with that. But I just want to put that out there that I'm letting everybody know. Securing the border does not become before U.S. descendants of chattel slavery issue. Because if they're not talking that, then no, I'm not voting for you. I'm not giving anybody a free ride. And I'll land.
All right. Thank you, Original, as always. Like I said before, guys, Up in the Jumbotron is a YouTube channel. We definitely need those some subscriptions, some people subscribing to the actual channel. So please go ahead. You can subscribe while the actual Twitter space is going on. It's the actual far left one. It is the last one on the left. All you got to do is go up there. While the actual Twitter space is going on, we haven't had not one person subscribe since this space has been going on. And we got everybody that's a follower that started subscribing to the Newstoter YouTube channel. We beat it already. So we need to go ahead and get all our people that's following Newstoter here on Twitter to go ahead and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Go ahead and subscribe to it now. The Twitter space is the best one because we actually have our people in it. It's probably about 66, 67 people up in the space. So for those who have not subscribed, please go ahead and subscribe, support us. We definitely need that. We're trying to increase our reach to the masses, so we can't do it if we don't have the actual subscribers. So please go ahead while the actual space is going on and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Let me go ahead and kick it to Volvo and then Black Native. Rel, I know you had your hand up earlier. I don't know if you put it down or not, but if you want to speak, all you got to do is put it back up and I will get to you as well. Go ahead, Volvo.
I didn't mean to have my hand up. My bad, brother.
Oh, okay. I thought you had your hand up, so no problem. Let me go to you, Black Native.
Yeah, I was just looking at the statistics of Florida and the numbers. It's what? I think it's like 56% white, and then you have the Hispanics, which are like 27%, and then they have Black of African descent, which is Haitians, Jamaicans, like they didn't throw all the Black people in one bowl, which is 16 to 17% in the state of Florida. With that being said, do Black people really have power in the state of Florida right now? Because
nope.
You have the Cubans who are being designated as white. You have basically it's a lot of Cubans. I know it's a lot of Cubans there. And any other Hispanic, they're classifying themselves as white, even though when I looked at the numbers, it shows that, they're 27%. So you have 26% of Hispanics, 54% of white people, and 17% of Black people. That says a lot. So there is no power for Black people in the state of Florida, to be honest with you. Even if they decide that they want to come out there, and they really going to have to make some noise. And I don't know if you, in African culture, it's something called a griot, or it's spelled Groit, a griot, which is someone who passes down information. I might be saying it wrong. They don't have anything like written, but it's verbal, passing information down verbally, real, from one generation to the next. We do that, whether you know it or not. We listen to our grandmother or our great grandmother or our mother who tells us information, even though we might not find it, because a lot of information that is being hidden from us, they're not going to tell us. But we have that culture. And so if they decide, with Ron DeSantis, who I just found out was Italian, always thought this man was a white Cuban, decides to remove all of our history, which is what they're trying to do, out of the books. We have our people to teach the younger generations of what really went on. And also, we need to preserve the books before they burn them. Because I gave you the example of what they did in Spain with the Moors. Burn all the books to erase that history. This is their culture. This is what they do. They want to make sure that they're solidified in lies and bullshit and anybody else's accomplishments are hidden. And then they'll take on the identity of those people who created those accomplishments. This is their format. They've been doing it for like almost damn near 1,000 years. This is nothing new under the sun. So I'm saying that I would say, and I know a lot of Black people cannot afford to maybe take off from work or send their children to certain school. We're gonna have to do something because this is emotion and this is what they plan to do, and we don't want our children being lied to anymore. Because I didn't like it when I was lied to, and when I went to college, I really started doing my studies and really finding out the information that was hidden from me. A lot of things. So we're gonna have to think about that. And the state of Florida is the ground zero, and once it passes there, and people are watching. It's gonna, just like reparations, it's gonna flow through all the other states. So we better be prepared. And I'll land.
All right. Let me give a shout out to the person that did just subscribe to the YouTube channel. So whoever that was, thank you. We need some more subscriptions as well too. So anybody else that hasn't subscribed, make sure you go ahead. Because like I said, on the far left-hand side, we have that up there in the Jumbotron. So let me go ahead and get to that. And I see we got a new speaker. So I see my girl Tata's up in here. She's from Florida too. So I got to hear what my sister's got to say about the shithole that is going on right here in this state right now. So Tata, how you doing tonight?
Hi, family. How are you? I'm good, Toda. Thank you for allowing me to speak. Yes, I'm from Central Florida. All of my family is here, and a lot of what you guys are saying, you're on point. And Black Native, yeah, those statistics are right. And and here in Florida, a lot of the Cubans live south of Florida. That's where you see a lot of them at. But here in Central Florida area, it's very mixed. And lately, after this border thing crisis, we got an influx of Venezuelans, here, Colombians. It's just a lot of different people. And it's very new to me, born and raised here. And I work for the Central Florida Workforce Development, and they send me out to speak to a lot of businesses about what the workforce has to offer, the funding, the grants, and all of this. And probably like 2 weeks ago, I was in Amazon. I had to go and speak there. And in this conference room with a lot of people there, we were playing this game, to see what everybody have in common, where everybody was from and everything. And I was the only American there in that room of like 56 people. And these were Venezuelans, Colombians, about 4 Haitians, 2 Jamaicans, the lady in the class that was instructing, a young lady, she was Moroccan. Just no other Black American was in that class but me. And it was just like, I'm like, wow. But DeSantis, they love him. They love him here. That's why so many people moved here. It's crazy how much traffic and, so many people move here because he promotes being free. This is a free state. So that's what they love, being free, because they ran away from New York and a lot of these other places because they didn't have to get vaccinated. So I don't like what he's doing with the school and everything. A lot of the teachers, they hate him. They hate him because of their pay and all of the nonsense he have going on. My cousin is a dean here in Kissimmee, and he absolutely hate him. But a lot of the people here, they are just so behind. They won't wake up. You got a lot of vaccinated Black people that was promoting this vaccine, promoting this Chucks and Pearls, and I think I was just all alone in that fight. Fighting against them with all of that, the Chucks and Pearls crew, the vaccination, even some of my they just lost. And I try to talk to people as much as I can, hand out those flyers that Giselle, created about reparations. They just don't want to hear it, or they just have this failed mindset like, oh, we're not gonna get it. And I come on these spaces to keep my spirits up, to keep, fighting, talking to people. But I don't know. And as far as that restaurant, Nikki's, I went there also like 2 weeks ago downtown. That was my first time being in her restaurant. I had some friends here from Texas and Atlanta, and we went. And we were so excited to go in the restaurant to support a Black business, and it was a lot of commotion going on in her restaurant. It's very small, very quaint, but the food was good to me. A lot of some of my friends, they were like, oh, it's all right, but we ordered up a whole bunch of stuff: red velvet cakes, sweet potato pies, oxtails, whatever. But she came up to the front. Arguing with the customers there. They were very upset. Just the vibe just seemed very off. She was very, seemed kind of, very rude to her customers. Like, you need to go onto the app to order. If you looked at the app and read what was on the menu, this is the way we doing things. And, the people there, they're not too hip on going to the app or whatever, but she was very rude to them, and they were like, well, we'll just take our ass to Burger King or whatever. We're not going to put up with this attitude. You just bad and miserable. It was just crazy like that. And but I do recommend, if you're in town, the food is it's pretty good. So, but she's just going to have to work on her customer service. But it's in the heart of downtown, where the area, they have been gentrified, in the hood area, downtown. But that's it that I hit.
So Tata, would you go back there again?
I'll drop by to get me some food. It was pretty good. She just got to work on her customer service, the way she was talking to her customers, because she was getting a lot of people coming in. She was making them stand outside because the place is very small, and she was like, this is for dine-in people only, and they wanted to order. She had a lot of people coming through there, and it was around lunchtime, but she just had this attitude, just very nasty. And and also told her I wanted to tell you I'm visiting Eatonville tomorrow. I got a meeting with this town of Eatonville tomorrow. So I'll let you know.
Okay. Yeah. Keep us posted on that and let us know exactly how everything goes with that as well, too. So I'm glad you mentioned that.
Yeah, I'm going to take some pictures, too. So I get to go and speak to some of the businesses, the Boys and Girls Club in the town of Eatonville. They want to help some of the businesses to get some of the young people on internships that we offer, and we can place them there to work, and the workforce will pay for the pay wage for 3 months for them to train them, let them work in their business. And so I wanted to talk to them about that. But I'll let you know how it goes.
Definitely do that. Thank you, Tata. I appreciate that, sister. All right, that's our sister Tata, another residential Floridian up in here. Vovo was up here, but he must have dropped now, so I got to go to my girl, Rella. Rella, go ahead. You got it.
So, Newstoter, I guess while you and Tata are here, and I think I've had this discussion before with Tata. Hey, Tata.
Hey, Rella.
Hey, honey. What are the organizations that are down there outside of the NAACP?
It used to be the Masonic lodges.
Yeah.
Here.
I know you have those up in the Panhandle up here as well too. Of course, you got the regular ones, the Urban League, and
right.
And what's that? You got 100 black men, I believe, down there in Miami.
Black women,
yeah. So it's pretty much the same ones that's all throughout the country.
Okay, got you. So but you guys don't know any. You guys haven't been to any meetings or anything yet.
I haven't been to.
I haven't
lately, but I've had it that I work doing events for my business for a long time. I've worked with the 100 black women for years, and the NAACP would call me when they needed, decor, chair covers, and all this type of stuff. So
So maybe even sending an email if you're unable to attend right then and there, and expressing your concerns with what's happening and mentioning that you want to talk about filing an impeachment right away. So maybe that's something you guys can also work on, and we can also assist in that way. Because when Black Native was reading off the demographics, and I'm looking at the black population, 15.94%, and the white population is 71%. They did exactly what Black is trying to get us to do, to migrate in Black American homeland, get us to migrate to a Black majority state. They overpopulated Florida to take over Florida, and they sent DeSantis down there. Unless he's already. Is he from Florida?
No, I don't. I don't. Yeah. He's from Jacksonville.
He grew up in Jacksonville.
Okay,
wow.
But But Rella, they've been doing this hitting Florida since the 70s with the immigrant population.
Right, but catch this. The one thing that everybody has been doing that we are not taking action and doing is we are not moving strategically. We move for survival. And our survival is causing us to move and spread out into certain areas where we're actually outnumbered. We have to really get down to the brass tacks of, we already know the slave states, Texas, Florida, California was a sanctioned slave state, even though it was considered a free state. And then we have, of course, all the states that are part of the Black American Homeland Strategy. So if we're really talking about this issue with Ron DeSantis, he has to be targeted. The people who supported him into office, because I think it was the Tampa Bay Times did actually talk about this in Newstoter. Maybe this is something you can have maybe another space about. But the Tallahassee, Florida Republican leaders say that they are willing to change the state law to allow him to run as president and state governor. And this is something they're working on for next year. It's called what is it called? There are two Republicans right now, Paul Riener and Kathleen Pasadamo or Dumo or something like that. She's from from Naples, and one's from Palm Coast. And so they're all working on this with him, and they're looking to change the law to allow him to run as president and state governor at the same time.
Yeah,
that's a big deal.
I just still don't believe, even though they're trying to do this, it's just no way this is gonna happen. Period.
Well, we need to make noise about it, and we definitely, even if this, coming from people who have, an issue and figuring out how and what's going on, like Newstoter, this could be definitely big for your platform, but also maybe finding that spark to galvanize the 15% of the Black people that's down there that would be willing to, you probably gonna have some coons. Let's say maybe 9% of it is coons, but still, you would still be able to vocalize the issues of what's happening and the attacks against Black Americans. That has to happen.
Definitely right about that. The 15%, and it could be at 15%. It could be a little bit higher than that, but it's not much higher than that. But because we also have to look at, when they say Hispanic, how many of those Hispanics and stuff classify as white or Black or this and that as well too. But the state is definitely majority white, followed by Hispanics, then followed by Black people. Black Americans, I would definitely like to know exactly the actual number of Black Americans in the state of Florida, because I'm sure it's dwindled over time, and as more and more people have moved into the state, because Florida is the third or fourth largest state in the country, depending on what data you get. Florida, at times I heard, was bigger than the state of New York. At times I heard it was just smaller than the state of New York. So, but Florida is one of the key states in the actual state, one of the key states in the United States. So you're right. You just would have to organize. But I'm going to say this, and Tata, and she said it to a certain degree, that DeSantis, as much as people think that he's an idiot, even here in the state of Florida, as much as people don't like him, he has a huge base of supporters in this state, and more people ride with him than ride actually against DeSantis. So you would have to organize, because DeSantis has the action. This last election was just was a laugh. I mean, what's his name? Andrew Gillum gave him hell 5 years ago whenever he ran. That was actually a close election. This last one, he just ran through him. Like, it was no competition whatsoever. I think Charlie Crist that ran against him, Tata? Charlie Crist used to be a governor. He was once a Republican, flipped parties, became a Democrat, and Charlie Crist just got annihilated. I mean, it was nothing. It was no competition. So DeSantis has been real careful about saying whether he's going to run for president or not, because they've been trying to get that answer out of him as well too, and he's been keeping it close to the vest. But like I said, you would really have to you have to bust your ass, because, like I said, I'm being honest here, he has more supporters in the state than he actually has people against him. So it'd be interesting in terms of a grassroots trying to actually organize something to go against him. But I mean, anything is possible. But like I say, it'd be an uphill battle, because these are the people he's a 2-term governor here. And I'm sure if he didn't run for president of the United States, if he said, you know what, I'm going to run for senator, he would win convincingly in that. The same way the one before him, what is his name? Damn, I can't. Skeleton. Rick Scott. Rick Scott was from damn Illinois, came to Florida. Somebody hit mute button, I think. DJ, you must have hit the mute. But Rick Scott came and came to Florida, became the governor, was taking money allegedly from Medicaid or Medicare, I can't even remember. Had this huge lawsuit against him, and still was still won and been the damn governor. Like, I think who was the last Democrat we had as a governor? Was that Lawton Childs back in 98 or 2000 or something like that? We've had nothing but Republican governors since then. The damn legislature is Republican. They run it. So, I mean, like I say, Florida is a red state. That's why they was able to let this man go up here and start gerrymandering voting districts and everything else. They sit up here and they allow these Republicans to run roughshod. So, really, like you said, that would be something that we would have to actually try to research that and see exactly what steps you could take. But I know for a fact, and I'm sure Tata knows too, it would be a battle. It would be a uphill battle, because Florida is definitely one of those states where black majority was saying, in terms of migration, this would definitely be one of the last places in the South that if we were trying to actually get control of it, because they're going to constantly bring in people from Latin America, and they taken over Miami. Miami's been pretty much Latin American since the 70s, 80s, and the last stronghold of actually that hasn't been overrun by Latin American immigrants or whatever would have to be the Panhandle, and that's slowly changing as well too. In the next 10 years or so, the Panhandle is going to feel it as well too. I'm up in the Panhandle, and I can see it slowly but surely turning. It's not to the point of South Florida or even Central Florida, but it's getting there. I'm starting to see a lot more. I think I was talking to DJ one day. I was driving, and damn, DJ, what flag did I say that this lady had? It was in the Philippines. It was a flag for an Asian flag from a country that I have never seen before. I forgot what it was. I'm like, what in the world? Like, I've never seen this. I've never seen anybody have this flag before. I can't even remember what country it was. It wasn't Malaysia. It was an Asian country, and the lady had a flag, and it just threw me out. Like, I have never in my lifetime. I grew up in South Florida, lived in North Florida, and I have never seen this flag before. No, I can't. Damn, I can't remember. I was talking to DJ when I was on the phone too. I'm like, DJ, I'm like, yo, I've never seen this flag before, like Asian flag, and I forgot what country it had, but I just can't jog my memory. It was a few days ago, but damn, I was like, oh Lord. So that's just let me. I don't think it was Indonesia either. It was a flag from an Asian country that you have never seen. I'm like, damn, I've never seen an Asian person had this flag up before, but it just shocked the hell out of me when I saw it. I'm like, whoa, like things are changing. Like Florida Florida is up for grabs. Like Florida, I wonder the next 20 years or so, in terms of, because I mean, my family's been here since probably the late 1800s that we can think of. So it's just interesting to see how this thing is changing right here. Because my family came from the Carolinas and came to Florida and the Panhandle, and spread all throughout the state. And it's just something to see. It's just something to behold when you actually seeing how things are turning. So, like I say, with DeSantis has support from white folks. He has support from Hispanics, and maybe not all Hispanics, but he has enough support from Hispanics that he's really hard to beat. I believe if he does run for president, if he could get past Trump, he'll definitely take the state of Florida. Like it's no question about that.
Newstoter, man, I'm gonna be honest with you. Part of the problem with Florida is where that northern part of the state is really Alabamians, man. You got a lot of Alabamians mixed in down there now. Quite a few Alabamians that was like in the southern part of the state have moved down into the northern panhandle of Florida. So that's some of y'all's problem right there too.
But Professor, but you're right. The panhandle, but what I said before, Florida has 67 counties. So yeah, the vast majority, with the exception of Leon, which is Tallahassee, and Jacksonville, which is Duval, the whole panhandle goes. But if you even go to if you go to Central Florida, South Florida, the only exception you might have, you'll have Palm Beach County, you'll have Broward County, you have Dade County, and you may have Hillsborough or one of those on the west. But the rest of it, I'm telling you, man, out of 67 counties, at least 59 to 60, anywhere from 58 to 60 are going red. You look at every election cycle, all you see is just a wave of red, and you see a couple dots of blue in there. Now, that what helps the Democrats is that they do take big counties. Like the three biggest counties in the state is Dade, Broward, and Palm Beach. You're talking about, probably a quarter of the damn population lives in those states there. But then all those other in those counties, but all those other counties throughout the state, red as hell. I mean, so yeah, you do have, like you say, because North Florida, a lot of people consider that as South Georgia. So yeah, okay, you got a bunch of them, but hell, that still don't explain the west side of the state. That still don't explain the Central Florida, all of South Florida, with the exception of those three. Of course, those are the three big areas, but everything else is going red.
Man, yeah. Y'all like Alabama. That's for sure.
Yeah. So I mean, you have to, if you're a Democrat and you're running, you have to take, if you lose Dade County, because you're going to lose most of it, you have to take Dade, you have to take Broward, you have to take Palm Beach, you're going to take Leon County, you're probably going to take Jacksonville. You need to see if you can get one of those, at least a couple, if you can get a couple on the west. If you can get Hillsborough or Pinellas County, and that's pushing it too, because they go red often as well too. So if you can get one of them, but if you can get 7-8 counties out of the state during an election cycle, you're doing well, because the vast majority of these counties in Florida are red to the heart. And like I say, now the last stronghold of actual that doesn't have a heavy immigration population is the Panhandle, but that is changing slowly. And I shouldn't even say slowly. That's changing. I'm starting to see more and more Latin Americans, Central American, Mexicans, Venezuelans up here and stuff like that. It's slowly starting to filter in that, hey, it ain't to the point where people speaking Spanish up here, but it's getting to that point. And I can imagine in the next 15 years or so, 10 years, it's going to really be there.
And I could hardly tell one from the other. I know we grew up around a lot of Puerto Ricans, but they're basically, they take over Kissimmee area. And a lot of the Mexicans are over here in the heart of Florida area, which is where my family is from, right in the smack in the middle of Florida, outside of Orlando. And then you got all these other groups that just came in, and I just can't tell who's who. Argentinians, Venezuelans, Colombians.
Hey, I'm with you. And I think I was in Orlando about maybe 6-7 years ago, and I was kind of shocked because I'm looking at Orlando like, damn, I grew up down south, in Broward. I'm looking at it like, damn, this is almost like being down south because it was a whole bunch of Spanish. I'm like, good
And
Lord.
Like that. Yeah, you had all the black people, you had your Mexican, and then the Puerto Ricans start coming in like in the late 80s, 90s, and yeah. But now all these other people, I don't know who I'm talking to, who's who, and they're not gonna fight for anything. They just happy to be over here. They're not gonna talk about anything. They just happy to be here, looking for the resources. I think in October, November, I went to, they had in this big hotel, we had to go and speak. And it was like a career event. And I mean, about 6 tour buses pulled up full of immigrants. Like 800 people came in this place. And these were your immigrants who were, so-called educated in their countries or whatever. So what the Orlando school system, they were there because they got, like, the technical schools were there. They're putting these people in place to train the people that they're bringing over for, I guess, in any of all the trades. And these people are the ones that they're training, and they're gonna translate to teach the other groups of people. Okay, my cousin was in the hospital in Orlando over there by SeaWorld, and he was there. And when I went in there, I mean, nothing but black immigrants, Haitians, I guess, Jamaicans. That's who they got in there. That's who they're training to come out of these, training them. And you could tell they weren't us because their attitudes, they wouldn't speak. It was just so different. I was like just stunned, and I'm like, we're in trouble. We're in trouble. And what I see just coming through this workforce, they're trying to grab all kinds of resources, see what we got, what funding that's there. And when I was at that career fair, all they wanted to know, free. None of them speak English. Free, is this free? We were giving away all kinds of trinkets and water bottles and bags. They just want free stuff. They don't. That's what's free. But yeah, we in trouble.
Yes, ma'am. like I say, the last semblance of not being filtered with it is up in the panhandle, and it's turning, and it's getting to that point. I can already see it, so I can imagine, like I said, in another 10 years or so, and it's just getting to that point. This is going to be the last hold. Like, hey, yeah, we every place else, so we might as well go ahead and hit this one up here, and it's getting to that point. DJ, I don't know if you're there or not. I see you got your hand up, so let's see if you're there.
Yeah, I'm in the building officially now. What's going on, man? You know what I mean?
Nothing too much.
Y'all can hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
No, ain't much going on tonight. Piece of the room. You know what I mean? Newstoter. What you call it? Hold on 1 second. What's the corner? All right. See, Florida, Rosa Parks. Again, we were speaking about this in Brother Moku space, and early this morning in Sister Giselle's space. We need to start archiving our own history, and if we don't do this, like Sister Black Native said earlier, they're gonna think Michael Jackson was a white man because he had vitiligo. See what I'm saying? They're gonna think Eminem invented hip hop because he sold the most records. Now understanding that it come from black people. A lot of these immigrants, or AKA the tethers, they have no history in this country. I was just with my great auntie. She rolled into her 90s. She said that before I could even get it out because she was listening to y'all. You know what I'm saying? They just mad because they don't have a history in this country. So this is why they trying to erase us, because they don't want these people feeling bad. They don't got shit here, yo. It ain't my fault, nigga. You know what I'm saying? It ain't my fault. And like you said, a lot of these jokers, they come from these countries where they say, oh, they college educated and all that. So I just saw a news article up here in Tetherville, New York, you know what I'm saying? Round zero, that a lot of these immigrants are complaining that they can't get work. And they saying that they're college educated and the work options were better in their own country. Well, adios manana, motherfucker. Get to stepping. You know what I'm saying? Because we can take those jobs. But again, you know how it is when we deal with these
on some real shit and haven't been able to find a job since 2019. And not to say I'm really looking, but every time I fill out an application, even though I know I'm overqualified, resume, bomb diggity and shit, you know what I mean? I don't get hired. But let these people come over here with no education, no skill set, don't know nothing, you know what I'm saying? We'll get a job in 2 seconds. Last night, I'm riding around and shit over at, we'll call it Mini Tellerville, Elizabeth, New Jersey. I'm over here riding and shit, about to come to this little light intersection area, fucking Spanish tether, come flying out of nowhere, yo. Almost hit me head on. I mean, like, hood to hood, head on. If I didn't stop, it would have been a real bad accident on some real shit. And the motherfucker just looked at me and kept going. So this motherfucker's clearly drunk. I busted Yui, followed this motherfucker, called 911. Hey, yo, y'all need to come get this nigga off the street. Police didn't even give a fuck, fam. And I called them twice. Didn't give a fuck. The officer on the phone, the dispatch told me just go ahead and leave it alone. Nigga, what? So when this motherfucking drunk nigga kills somebody, kill a mother, kill anybody, an innocent pedestrian, that's on y'all, because it's already been reported twice. So these people really don't have nobody best interest, give a fuck, any of that shit. We need to completely delineate and separate from everybody. Because at the end of the day, if we don't, and I'm not saying that, you know, certain demographics ain't gonna be able to come along with us, because, you know, some of these folks, they identify as black and are down with black Negro freedmen, you know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, yeah, we might have to make a lane for them too, but for the most part, like Tata said, a lot of our folks, they not ignorant, they just don't care, Tata. They just don't care, yo. They think they are equal with these people. Our people think we're equal with everybody else. Nah, your ass on the bottom. You know what I'm saying? In the story and shit, you know what I mean? So Florida, Rosa Parks, the history, Ruby Bridges, all that. If we ain't documenting and archiving our own shit, it don't matter, fam. So I suggest to all y'all, when y'all get maybe about $50 to $60, you can catch them on sale. An external hard drive. I need y'all to hook that shit up to your computer. They also have the externals on the cell phones now, where it plugs to your cell port charger, and it turns it into an external hard drive through a cellular network. Y'all need to start archiving all these memes, all these articles, start screenshotting stuff, yada, yada. Because if you don't, within the next 10, 20 years, these people going to say such and such invented this, and yo, that's not black people stuff and all this other stuff, huh? All right, man, you know what I mean? So that's that. And what else? What we got? The travel advisory. Hey, no disrespect to Florida, Tyler, but don't go to Florida, right? But don't pull up. You know what I'm saying? If you're trying to take a vacation, you're going to have to take some money out of their economy. You know what I mean? Don't pull up there to Orlando this summer and don't worry about pedophile Disney either. You know what I mean? Take your kids and your family somewhere else. You know what I mean? And this is according to the NAACP of Florida. You know what I'm saying? Real right, but I guess I'll yield there. Go ahead.
Hey man, hey, I can't really argue with the talking points. I'm here in Florida, so you know, definitely I know there's black businesses here, so I wish people could still support them. At the same time, the only way that you can really hurt these people or get their attention is to hurt them in their pockets. So until we start really breaking them down, the most successful boycott of all time was that Montgomery boycott. We haven't had anything since then to rival that. And the reason that rivaled it, and the reason that we were able to do what we were able to do, because it hurt their pockets. But then those black people too, they were dedicated. You know, they had to walk, they had to depend on each other. They had to carpool and everything else in an era where a lot of people didn't have cars either. So we have to think about that as well too. So that was the most successful boycott that we as black Americans have ever staged in this country, and that was that Montgomery bus boycott. We haven't had anything since to rival that, but that really showed us the framework of how we should do something. If we ever get to that point that we really want to do a major boycott, we need to go ahead and examine exactly how they did that, how they were successful, and implement those very same steps. Of course, we can't do everything you're talking about from 50, 60 years ago, so you have to go ahead and modernize it to today's standards, but you got to look at that. So, you know, like I said, I'm not a huge NAACP fan, But some of what they're saying about this is, you know, the advisory to Florida, I can't really much blame people if they say, hey, you know what, Florida want to act like this, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to stick it to them. So, hey, if you don't want to take your kids to Disney World, take them to another theme park or take them somewhere. I don't know. But you don't necessarily have to come to Florida. So you won't get any gripes from us on that. So I would like to see the black businesses be supported, but, you know, it is what it is at this time. So does anybody want to say something real quick? Because if not, we're going to go ahead and we're going to close it out for the night. So we got anybody that want to speak?
Hey, what's up, fam? Peace to everybody. Just to piggyback on what you was just saying, I just been in my mind. Have people, I mean, we got to get those numbers back up. If the church is not going to be involved, we got to have a way to replace that. Hopefully, some of these churches will start standing for social justice again. Because we didn't have, I mean, the church was the core of our fighting back in the 60s, and we didn't even have mega churches then. Imagine in Dallas, TD Jakes, Detroit, every major city has a couple of mega churches. Imagine if they got on the streets with us. So hopefully, I'm going to talk to Bishop Thomas Swat about that and try to come up with a plan. But also, I'm thinking, make sure we get lawyers on that in case we got to go out there and protest and spend the night in jail. We don't want people with warrants and child support and stuff on them because they're not going to be able to do that. But people that's going to be able to stand to go through that type of to take that hit for a day or two if we have good lawyers on deck for us to do it. So yeah, just piggyback on what you were saying. That's in my mind, and I'm working on it. And hopefully, I get a plan I can present to a big group.
Yes, sir. It sounds like you put in the work there, so definitely keep everybody posted as well, too.
Hey, Newstoter, since you're in Florida, what are the black churches doing as far as protesting what Ron DeSantis is proposing?
Now you have I don't know about black churches in particular, but you do have black people down here protesting. But I don't know. I can't really think of any major mega black churches down here that's protesting, but I do know you have a number of black people. You've even had a number of the white ones at some of these universities and stuff as well too, because you know when they start talking about the anti-woke, and of course as always they're gonna mix it in together. You started having them talk about you know when you couldn't get those AP courses passed and stuff, you started also having some of the white kids at Florida State trying to join forces with some of the black kids at FAMU as well too. So they've been out. You've had a lot of white kids out here protesting as well too. So you gotta have to watch for that as well too, because things tend to get mixed in once you start doing that. You'll start having you know, it'll be an issue about black folks, and then it'll go from being black that it's already they're trying to really make it into an all-in-one type situation where it's about communities that's unrepresented. Like even though we know that the focal point has been about black people, but it's becoming almost all the groups who are not being represented properly type situation as well too. But to my knowledge, and maybe Tata can, because she's in a different part of the state, I haven't seen you know, and that's not to say you haven't had any black leaders doing it, because like you said, Al Sharpton was down here, so I'm sure he probably got with some black church members and stuff like that as well too. But really, how often do you see really black people, like black churches, really spearheading a lot of these actual protests nowadays? I think a lot of them are worried about the actual their tax exempt status, so a lot of them decide not to get involved.
Right. I just want to say, let me say one more thing. What about Disney? What about all of the money that black people spend yearly as, you know, as the tourist attractions out there in Orlando? We should shut that shit down. I mean, I know they might feel like we're not that big of a deal or we don't spend as much money, but if we stop supporting, because I know a lot of those different places probably help with the economy in Florida as a whole, those little, you know, Disney where I've been there when I was a kid. What about boycotting all of those different major theme parks and all the stuff, and have them actually speak up for us if they want our money?
That's one that. Go ahead, Tata. You was gonna say something. Go ahead.
That would be, I mean, great idea, but it's just here. rounding up the people, because I know the church. I don't know one church would come out and speak about, anything. I haven't seen it here in Central Florida. I don't know if they worried about their faith base. Like you said, you're tax exempt. But, when I even get on, a lot of the people that I can really talk to or try to post anything is on Facebook. And every time I post anything, I'm always having people coming at me, they're just ignorant because they don't know. They're so out of touch with what's going on. So I have to stay away from that sometimes.
Yeah, and Black Native, what you said is a great idea. I don't know. I don't know if it's ever been done. If Black people have ever really gone head to head with Disney. We know Disney was at one time, was a very racist place. If we want to go and we want to actually chart the actual history of Disney, Disney's never really ever been friends of Black people. If you look at from the time it was founded by Walt Disney and just some of the racist characters and cartoons that they had that now that they don't even show, that they pretty much put in a vault. And in some of these parks, I think the one out there in California, Disneyland, I think it wasn't until maybe the 70s that Black people could even come to the actual theme park. It hasn't had exactly the best history when you're talking about actually it's dealing with Black people. So that is something to look into. I know the city of Orlando, I said it before, I believe they do something. I believe something like 50 million people come to that area yearly. So, I'm sure even if people say, well, Black dollars ain't going to kill Disney or any of these theme parks. No, it may not kill it, but it may put a serious dent into those profits, which can, result in people losing their jobs and everything else. So yeah, it may not close you down or shut you down, but it can garner some real attention, and it can really hurt your bottom line if it's really implemented.
Well, Disney is Marvel, right?
Disney's everything. Disney's ABC, Disney's ESPN, Disney's all of that. It's like,
But isn't Ron DeSantis trying to do something with Disney? Something he was trying to
yeah,
do.
he took what did he take Disney? He took the status from Disney because Disney was complaining and stuff like that too. So he's been kicking Disney in the ass as well too. So Disney they're scared of Ron DeSantis.
Yeah, it don't even have to just be the theme park. When I said Disney is Marvel, they just came out with Black Panther 2. They're trying to change their image, you know what I'm saying, from back in the 50s, do all that racist shit. And they're banking because what was Black Panther? Black Panther, I think, was the second highest grossing movie that Disney ever made, and we made that possible. We have power, especially spending power. So we need to, just not even the theme parks, I'm just saying anything, because when we hit these major corporations in their pockets, yeah, they'll speak up. So that's just an example that I was throwing out there.
Oh, I get what you're saying. Black Native did. Black people. They contribute a lot of money to the economy of Orlando as well too. So if Black people did start saying, "Hey, we're not going to go to Orlando," and it's just not the theme parks, like you saying, the theme parks, the hotels, the restaurants, the malls, all of this stuff that you're talking about, the memorabilia shops. They would really, they would lose a lot of money. So I get what you're saying. Somebody else said one time too, before they actually came out with the actual Black Panther, that I don't know if it was Disney or Marvel, but they were in the coffins or whatever. And Black Panther actually, kind of rescued them when they came out with that movie. Now, I don't know how true that was. Somebody said that. I'm trying to figure out who it was. They were saying that, that they were kind of hurting financially. And when they released Black Panther, that gave them such a big boost and a surplus of money that, notice after Black Panther came out, then you started seeing like a rash of these Marvel movies. And that's not to say you didn't have them before, but after Black Panther, man, they just started spitting them out left and right after that, because Black Panther kind of gave them that financial boost that they needed.
I can't see my screen, so I don't want to talk over here.
No, you go ahead, Tata.
Dang, brother, I'm chopped liver, Newstoter.
Well, no, I'm gonna let the sister go ahead. And you don't have a problem with the sister saying something, do you? I'm gonna get to you.
No, not really.
Because I don't know. She said she could see you. Want to say something real quick, Tata? she may be having some connection issues too. So yeah, I think she having connection issues. Go ahead, Mr. Engaging. Go ahead, Mr. Engaging.
My bad. I didn't want her to leave the stage.
No, I think she's having some connection issues. But you got it. Go ahead.
Yeah. Florida bans Rosa Parks and Ruby Bridges. Damn. That's crazy. They're not even on hardcore. They're not even on hardcore people that rep this like that. That are like, you get what I mean? There's like the Black history and all that stuff. So I feel like it's very extreme.
Somebody got a speaker. Somebody speaker on a phone on.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm just trying to make sure. Everybody make sure your mics are muted while Mr. Engaging is talking. Go ahead, Mr. Engaging.
Yeah, I find that very extreme. NAACP did something right for a change. They put up a travel advisory. All right, that's what's up. Yeah, whatever. We need to get them all about reparation, lineage-based reparations. That's just my take on that. The last thing is Disney owes reparations too. They need to cut the check too. All the stuff that they have done to us as a group and as a community, they need to cut the check too. So I think that we need to be posing those type of things to like NAACP and all these other organizations. Forget a travel ban advisory. What are you going to do legally, legislatively to hold these guys accountable for their actions and behavior? So that's just my take on the situation. I wish I was there to see hear everybody's intake in their inputs. I'll probably listen to the feedback on it later on this later on tonight. But I'm definitely kind of curious.
Oh yeah, no problem. Appreciate having you, Mr. Engaging. Yeah, and what it was is that it's these books and stuff. Okay, and the actual weekly book that they have for Rosa Parks, they eliminated her race and they eliminated her name out the actual book. The weekly studies or whatever they have, they went ahead and they took her name out the book. They took her race out the book, and they just made it. And they got to the point they chopped it up so much that they was like, well, a woman was told to move out of her seat. First, it was an African American woman, and then it just became because of her color. And then they took the color out. They took everything out. They took her name out, her color out, and they just told she was told to move. And then with the actual band with the Ruby Bridges, they were showing they were showing the Ruby Bridges movie to a bunch of second graders, and then one of the mothers of Karen, she complained about it, and she was, in her words, she was saying that she said she wrote that the use of racial slurs and scenes of white people threatening Ruby as she entered the school might result, and I want you to hear this part here, might result in students learning that white people hate black people. And this is what the news outlet itself says. So this mother is concerned that watching history about how a 5-6-year-old girl was treated when she tried to go to school and get an education, that, hey, that may influence and actually show other students that white people, in her words, from the Tampa Times, not my words, from what the Tampa Times quoted her, in her words, school might result in students learning that white people hate black people. So this Karen was the only one who ran her mouth and went up here and said that this was a guilt trip, and now they had to pull it and they had to review it.
Wait, Newstoter, I got a question. Like first of all, what was the age of the students in which they were showing this video? These are other grade school students, am I correct?
Yeah.
So wait a minute here. So this is about grade schoolers learning about something that happened in our history from a grade school perspective. I find that very problematic from someone who works in education and done stuff like that. I think that the distortion of our history should be met with challenge in legal litigation, and not no punk ass travel advisory. So like they need to really up the ante when people are not playing games with them. Respectfully, they're not playing games with our community. So they need to get in the gear. Real talk.
Absolutely. Appreciate that, Mr. Engaging. Tata, I know you was having some connection issues, so let me go ahead and get back to you because I know you was trying to say something.
And my apologies, Tata, too.
Oh, no, my phone is going out. Yeah, I just wanted to say, yeah, it'll be hard. I'd like to see how many of us stay, away from Disney because they're tearing down Thunder Mountain, and I think they're probably will be finished sometime late summer, making that out of Princess and the Frog, Princess Tiara. So a lot of people can't wait to see that. So they're pandering to us a whole lot lately. What I'm seeing, and they hate Ron DeSantis because he don't get down with all that LGBTQ stuff that they promote. So that's why they really don't like him.
Oh yeah, because Disney, they push it hard. They most definitely push it hard. Thank you, Tata. Let me go ahead and get to you, Reg Rock, and then I'm gonna get to you, Rella. Hey, Reg Rock, you're kind of like, it's kind of muffled what you're trying to say.
Hello.
Okay, that's better.
All right, yeah, I just happened to be in Orlando on a layover, and the sister suggested about Disney. I think it'll be a good test for us to leave this space and tell our families, whoever we know offline, stay away from Disney. It's expensive as it is, so it should be easy to do. Because I changed my mind from going there several times just based on the price of it is today. So that should be an easy test for us. So we leave this space tonight, communicate, already put up on Facebook, and already compared to have Ron DeSantis said anything about that, talking about Holocaust. And I don't get no answers when I say that. So Disney would be a good test for us to try to get the word out.
Reg, we may have to mute you real quick. I think he at the airport or something. So yeah, let me see if it's still. Yeah, I think. Yeah, I think he was at the airport. So yeah. And yeah, man, them tickets at Disney last I remember, like when them tickets like $100 and some dollars or something per person. I know they're expensive as hell. So yeah, if you go to Disney, if you take a family of 4, 5, get ready to shell out some nice hard earned cash because it's expensive there. Let me go ahead and get to Rella. Rella, go ahead and unmute your mic, Rella.
So I know everybody is. Thank you, Newstoter. I know everybody is, just thinking of things and ways, from their purview of what, could be done. But I need us to really think in a strategic way. So Disney, number one, is not happy that Ron DeSantis stripped them of their district power. And I think that's what people needed to know. So what happened was in February, Ron DeSantis signed a law stripping the entertainment giant of its control over the Reedy Creek Improvement District. It's a special tax district and governance jurisdiction that they've been in control of since 1968. So Ron DeSantis renamed it to the Central Florida Tourist Oversight District, and it gives the governor, more power to appoint new boards of supervisors over that district. So I'm not sure who all lives in that district or what the demographic of that district is, but it would behoove us to actually look and see. The other thing is that Disney didn't take that kindly, and they also didn't upfront tell Ron DeSantis in his team. Once they did that, they had signed themselves into a binding contract, and I do believe that there was a clause in there. There was a European or British clause in that, and I'm trying to pull it up so I can tell you what it was. But all I'm going to say is we have to look at these things from a different perspective, not just from a boycott perspective. Boycotts are great, but how we go about doing boycotts is important. If we're going to not spend money at Disney, which I agree, then we need to put the pressure on Disney in return and have Disney to either be our champion or our sword to go up against Ron DeSantis. Because they have the money and they have lawyers. That's one. Number two, I mentioned the organizations earlier because it's going to be important that people who are in Florida, along with people who know of churches who you don't know if they're doing anything, that you call and you put the pressure on them to demand that they do. This is where we actually have to also be our own champions. And we also have to know that whatever happens in this country, it directly affects us. The impact is on us. And so when it comes to being a soldier, you have to understand there is an art of war and engagement, and you have to be ready and willing to engage in any particular way that we can that is going to turn the tide. So the enemy of your enemy is your enemy, but you utilize that enemy against your enemy. That's a different mindset. And I think if we can look at things in that way, we could probably start making different moves and not just boycotts and stomping in the street. I'm not saying anything is wrong with those things, but have a centrifugal force in how we actually are going to implement them based off of what we're trying to get done. Ron DeSantis is a damn devil, and he is going to harm a lot of people in Florida, and I would not want to see him as a president at all, period. I think there was another thing that someone else said, but I can't remember. It'll come back to me later, so I'm going to mic myself up because I know I probably said enough, but I'm going to go look at what what Disney did in return, because they pretty much said F you to Ron DeSantis at the end of the day. But take note that this company had a stronghold over districts since 1968. Now that's some authority for your ass. Okay.
Yeah, Disney's basically like its own damn city. It has that kind of power. So when he gave them the middle finger, they got afraid because Disney pretty much operates and runs itself like its own little city. Like, yeah, Disney is in Kissimmee. Those that think it's Orlando, but okay, it's in Kissimmee, but it's his own little city, to be real. Disney is his own little. When they say Disney World, that's exactly what they mean. Disney World. Let me go ahead, Mr. Engaging. Go ahead, and then we're gonna get the Black Native. Go ahead, Mr. Engaging.
I think I do like where Sister Rella was going with that conversation. I think we need to look at Disney's allies like ESPN. Put the pressure on these athletes that talk about they want to go to Disneyland. You black man, you know better. We're gonna pull your card. Like I think we need to go and
own ESPN, bro. And they also own ABC.
Yeah, but you get where I'm going at. You need to start attacking their subsidiaries and stuff like that too as well. Like let them feel the pain too. So it's enough that pain to go around. So like that's where I'm at with that. That's how I think that we could benefit from that, especially like imagine somebody like the little athlete go up there, run his mouth, say I'm going to Disneyland, and like some real person or a group of people just protesting that shit right out the gate, like saying like,
athletes still do that? I didn't know they still were doing that.
Yeah, I think they still kind of quasi do that, depending on what bowls. Like
I wasn't going to go to that gay ass shit for nothing. I tell them up to beat my ass.
Yeah, but we might need to coach our pull aside one of those star athletes and tell them like, yo, you need to give it a real for your people on this one. You need to do a solid on your people on this one. I think that it's something along those lines. I think that we need to all on all levels we need to share the pain on this one and make sure that we bring the pain to those that deserve it, like Disney and Rob DeSantis. I'm going to leave it like that. But thanks for the mic and thank you for holding this room. I'm definitely going to play back and just sit back and just listen because I think it's something very important. Like any type of erasure of our history, it kind of bothers me. I'm very sensitive about that because that's who we are and that's what directs us into the future, And anybody's trying to take that from us is taking away our birthrights as who we are as a people. And I can't really stand for that.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Engaging. Black Native, I'm going to let you be the last speaker for the night. Guys, like I say, the YouTube channel, I still got the YouTube channel up in the Jumbotron. second to the left. So go ahead and subscribe to that YouTube channel. We're trying to get you guys to go ahead and subscribe to that YouTube channel. It would have been very, very easy. All you had to do was click, go up in that Jumbotron, click it, hit subscribe, and you're still listening to the actual YouTube space. So please go ahead. We're trying to grow the YouTube channel. Anybody in the space that's not following Newstoter, make sure you follow Newstoter on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook as well too. Follow us on all the social media platforms. If you got a Facebook account, if you got an Instagram account, go ahead and follow us on there as well too. Make sure you subscribe to the actual YouTube channel as well too. For those that want to support us on Cash App, it's $Newstoter, $Newstoter. Go ahead, Black Native.
Yeah, thank you, Newstoter, for holding this space. I'm over here listening to you and Jason Black at the same damn time because he's live. I want to clear something up. When I said Disney, I use that as an example because I know it's based in Florida, but I also gave examples that Disney owns Marvel Studios and Marvel, and we support it. We actually pulled Disney, like you said, out of a rut because of Black Panther 1 and 2. That's just one subsidiary that they own. And when you say ESPN, I know they own ABC. All these different outlets and conglomerates that they own, we should go after all of them. And all of these, like the brother said, not enough, Mr. Engagement, this is the time for our Black athletes to stand up. They didn't want to do it when Colin Kaepernick told them to take a knee. They let the man out there high and dry by himself. I still haven't watched football since then. I guess I'm still the only one not boycotting, and I love the Giants. But, it's principles. So when I said Disney, I meant all of Disney, not just the theme parks. I mean, anything that connects Disney that we have a hand in, we need to shut it down. And we need to be serious because ESPN banks on sports, and who dominates the sports? We do. And it's about time that we actually stand up because they're erasing us. And if they don't give a fuck about that, then I don't know what to say at this point. And I'll land my plane.
All right. Well, Black Native, I was going to let you be the last speaker, but I guess I'll go ahead and let you squeeze us in real quick fashion.
No, we're going to hold that over to another day. That's right.
Be quiet, Professor. That's why you're in timeout right now. Okay, so listen.
Now, hold on. Don't jump on my boy, Professor. Hold on, Professor. I got your back.
You do it
Real.
So the board members actually pulled a fast one on Ron DeSantis, right? It was called the restrictive covenant in the inside of the contract that they had signed when they actually switched over. So I just wanted to point that out. So when they went ahead and did their agreement, Disney agreed to have the oversight governance change, right? But they didn't change any of the language, and in the language, it is a British law, I believe. Which was crazy. It's a British law, still under a Florida governance called the restrictive covenant, and it stripped the board of any of its powers. So pretty much they can't do shit anyway to Disney. So with that being said, we probably do have an end, and I agree with everything Black Native said in regards to, and Mr. Engagement, their subsidiaries and going after their subsidiaries. But for people who are in Florida, it would be good for you to try to find some way to get into some sort of organization where you can get into close, maybe with an executive, and bring about your issue with the changing of historical records, and find someone that would be willing to support your efforts moving forward. And you might need to go to the NAACP meeting. Just saying. I know you don't want to hear that, but it's true. But anyway, that's all I got. And thanks, Newstoter. This was a great space.
Hey, wait. Before you say anything, Newstoter, I just want to comment negative.
Real quick.
There'll be 2 seconds. Professor Black Truth, on one of his moment of truths, it goes into very extensive detail about the covenants and about the relationship between Rob DeSantis and also Disney. So if you are like interested, I would definitely point you. I think it's like 2 or 3 days ago. He goes into deep detail and a deep dive in that conversation. It's about the covenants and everything of that nature as well. So thank you, Rella, for bringing that up, because if you were going to bring it up, I was going to definitely say something about it. So because that's very, very important.
I brought it up, and I don't even live in Florida, so I'm just going to say that. But thank you for allowing me to speak, Newstoter.
All righty. And on that note, y'all, we will be back tomorrow night at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So y'all make sure y'all check in. We're going to have another nice space, a couple of topics I want to touch up on tomorrow night. So definitely when I send the notifications out, y'all go ahead and tweet them out too. So retweet them. So we'll definitely see you guys tomorrow night. Thank you to all of well, we only had one co-host, my man Ray. He was in the speaker spot, but he didn't co-host. But Ray, you still an honorary co-host anyway. So shout out to Ray and DJ as well. And shout out to the speakers, Black Native, Ray, Rella, Tata, Professor, Reg Rock, Original. He was up here early as well too. So shout out to everybody. Shout out to the listeners. Shout out to everybody in the space. Guys, make sure, like I said, y'all go ahead and y'all subscribe to that YouTube channel when you get a chance. I'm going to tweet it out maybe later on tonight as well too. So go ahead and subscribe to it. Thank you to everybody who supported on Cash App, $ Newstoter. And till tomorrow, we'll see you guys tomorrow night. So everybody be easy, have a good one, and be safe.